Evening all. Hope everybody's keeping well. Welcome back to Beyond the Lane, episode 25. Big up to everyone watching at home. Big up to everybody in the chat. Let's welcome our guests in. Big up, Deji. Thanks for jumping on. How are you doing, buddy?
Thank you, mate. Dan, first and foremost, thanks for inviting me on this your channel today and allowing me the opportunity to get a bit of therapy because what's been going on in my club is nothing short from the dustiest thing I've ever seen in my life. So I'm looking forward to tonight's show with like-minded Spurs fans who I think could do a better job than our current gaffer. So yeah, looking forward to tonight's show.
Cheers, man. Thanks for jumping on. And Ben, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing good. It's been a ridiculously long week already, and it's only the end of Tuesday. But it's good to spend time with you two boys, as we always do. We always like have a good laugh, and it's a great time to finally be on a show with Deji. We've been around the YouTube space but we sort of zigzag. We've ships passing in the night, but we've convened in the space, the realm that is Beyond the Lane, and we're going to have a great chat, as we always do. We'll have a laugh, we'll have a cry, and we'll have a good chat, and that's what we like to do here, isn't it? That's what it's all about. So cheers for having us on, as always. And finally, my stars aligned. I was able to come on the show because you've been asking me to come on for weeks, and I haven't had a chance to get on because of commitments and all that nonsense. But now we're here. We're here.
Thanks for coming on, Ben. And that's crazy, man. You two never streamed together before.
So. No, we've never streamed together.
Oh, well, I hope you had a good time tonight. Yeah. Nige, mate, how are you doing? How are you?
I'm good, mate. Yeah, very good, thanks. And it's Beyond the Lane history, getting Deji and the Koch on the same show. So that's fantastic. But yeah, I'm really good. You know, no matter what Spurs are doing, I'm all good. Life's good. What about you? How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right, man. I'm all right. Looking forward to the show tonight. Lots to get into as usual. Wow, what a crazy season we've had, man. Not good at all. People watching, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to myself, Nige, Deji, and Ben. Their links will be in the chat. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. And let's say a few hellos to people in the chat. Who's here tonight? Let's have a little look. Let's get their names up. Big up, George. How are you? Thanks for joining us. George is saying hello to the two Marks. I guess the two Marks are here. Hello, Mark. Cookmeister, how you doing? And the Sheriff. Big up, Sheriff. Nigel's saying hello to everyone. A few more hellos. Audio Artisan, evening to you. Hope you're keeping well. Right, guys. So tonight, show is we're going to be touching on that Bournemouth game. Massive disappointing performance. Obviously, we're going to be looking ahead at the big game on Thursday. Az Alkmaar at home in the Europa League, last 16 second leg. And then we're going to be talking about, probably in the middle, standards. What's happened to the standards of this club this season? And I want to know, all you guys on the panel, your standards for the club, and also people in the chat as well. So we're going to get into it. It's just been an awful season. But I've got a cracking question to start the show off with you all. Let's say big up to Jeff in the chat. Big up, Jeff. Thank you for joining us. So, guys, let me get this out here now. So how much do you think it is a disadvantage to Ange to not have a kind of like a top player in the team, like Kane or Bale? And, you know, obviously previous managers we've had, Conte, Mourinho, Redknapp, Poch, have always had like a top star. Guys, Deji, you go first on that one. How much do you think that's affected Ange and Spurs and the team?
I would say yes and no. So you got to understand that under Conte and Mourinho, I mean, look, let's be real. Kane is for me the best striker in world football, and at the time that they were in charge, he was the best striker in world football. And what was weird about having those two managers was that they were asking the best striker in world football to defend and then hit people on the counter, knowing full well he has no pace. So that was quite odd. But despite that, Kane being the genius that he is, he was banging in goals. Postecoglou said something before Kane left. He said, if you stay in this system, if you stay here, I guarantee you would hit that Alan Shearer target. You'd be banging in goals. And weirdly, I was speaking to a mate of mine, Sean, earlier this afternoon, because I'm not looking at the league table anymore. I don't know if you've noticed that. I've not looked at it this year. But Spurs are the second highest goal scorers in the Prem after Liverpool, which is you just have to laugh. So there's an argument there, if you want to do stats, you know I don't do stats, that maybe had Kane been there, maybe we would, maybe he would be doing the same sort of numbers he's doing at Bayern Munich. The problem is, though, I'm not buying the Kane factor because that team on paper is a lot stronger, I think, than what Mourinho and Conte had to work with. And they're looking very, very dusty. They didn't turn up against Bournemouth. They didn't turn up against Palace. Didn't turn up against AZ. So even if you put Kane in this team, the truth of the matter is no one's turning up. So is he going to get any goals anyway? Probably not. He's not going to get goals with an out-of-form Son. He's not going to get goals with Brennan Johnson, who can't beat a man. He's not going to get goals with Odegaard. He's not going to get goals with Maddison or Papsar or Bentancur or Basuma in your midfield. So I think it's a good argument to have. But yeah, I don't think it makes any difference.
Fair enough. Good answer. Good answer. Very thorough, Deji. Ben, same question to you, man. You know, the counter argument with this is that, you know, they got a lot of money for Kane, right? 100 million pounds or euros or whatever it is, you know, and then they brought in the likes of Johnson and Solanke. Yeah. Like, you know, that the club could have done much better for Ange, couldn't they?
He asked for those two players. He asked for those two players. So the problem is, I do want to agree with saying maybe he needs a top player. I don't think any star player flourishes in this system. This manager seems to have a kink. He seems to get hot and flustered over playing players out of position. And at the end of the day, management is seeing what you've got as the tools and getting the best out of them with what you've got. What he's got is a very good young set of players. You nurture those players. You get your players and you put them in the best chance to succeed. Let's look at the squad as he's got. He's got James Maddison, who before he joined Tottenham was the second most creative English player after Harry Kane. So he's not a bad footballer. Yes, he got relegated at Leicester, but there's 11 players in a football team. He's not the reason that Leicester went down. He's got one of the best up-and-coming left-backs from Italy in Destiny Udogie. He's got one of the best up-and-coming right wing-backs out of Spain in Pedro Porro, who were both doing brilliantly well before they came to Spurs. He's got Romero, a World Cup winner, one of the best centre-halves in the world, touted to go to Real Madrid next year. He's got Mickey van der Ven, one of the best left centre-backs, I think, in world football, with freakish pace. He's got some young players like Archie Gray, who I love Archie Gray. I'm not in the Lubo camp of how much he loves Archie Gray, but I'm a big fan of Archie Gray. I think Archie Gray could be turned into one of the best young centre midfielders on the planet. I genuinely think that I see these with my own eyes. I go to the game week in, week out. I'm there. I don't get to go to as many away games as I'd like to go to, but I'm at every single home game unless there's something that happens. I see it all with my own eyes. Top players would not flourish in this system. And what have we seen? The moment everything goes wrong, who is the person that gets dropped? James Maddison, who is our highest goal scorer and highest goal contributor, and probably the only player you would say in the team that's got an ego. Ange doesn't like egos. I've seen that every single time someone sort of talks, dropped. You saw it at Celtic, McGregor, dropped. The moment McGregor said, we can't play the system anymore, he banished out of everywhere. He doesn't like egos. And what do all top players have? Egos. Every single player who is considered one of the top players in the world has an ego.
What do you think of this?
let's face it, if we had Harry Kane here and he saw the way we defend and the way we give chances away week in, week out, Bournemouth in the first 5 minutes, I thought we were going to concede 6. How many chances we conceded in the first 10 minutes? Harry Kane would be the first person knocking on Daniel Levy's door. Boss, get him out.
Yeah.
The moment we were conceding stupid amounts of goals, boss, get him out. Better managers doing better in the Premier League at the moment were kicked out by Harry Kane and players of that ilk because they said, we can't do this, boss.
Yeah.
So he's lucky he doesn't have players with ego. He's lucky he's only got one that he can push away to the side, which is James Maddison. If he had more of those players, they would all be ganging up on him and they would all be at Levy's door, get him out. We can't play like this. We don't like it. We don't want our... and this is what I heard it from James Flower, who knows people at the club. He doesn't even take the training sessions. What manager worth their sorts goes into a new club and doesn't take his backroom staff? So he's working with people he's never worked with before, and he's expecting them to be able to do what he wants. If that was me in that, I'd be on the training ground every second. All right, this is how I want it to be coached. This is how I want this to be coached. It was never going to work. It's never going to work. You can't. We're asking for egos, and we're asking for big players wouldn't take this.
I totally get you, man. I totally get you. And if you look on the game at the weekend against Bournemouth, we came up against a well-coached team, didn't we?
Yeah.
Against my manager. It came up against my manager. I just followed on. You know, I actually predicted Bournemouth to score 4 or 5 goals, and in my opinion, they did score 4 or 5 goals. Because if you think in the first 4 minutes they should have been 2-0 up, they did then score. Then they had the offside, which was, you know, I've seen them given, and you know, and they scored another goal. So Bournemouth, in my view, technically pretty much scored 5 bloody goals. So we were, I mean, honestly, we didn't have.
They bottled it, did they? They bottled it. Yeah. Let's face it, they bottled that game. They should have been at. Vicario made a couple of really good saves 10 minutes into the game. They bottled it. I don't think Bournemouth bottled it.
I think we were bloody lucky, mate. I mean, that Pape Sarr cross that went in and the pen. Apart from that, we did nothing. I actually asked the question, and I really want my fellow panelists to answer. Did we have a shot on goal?
Well, we did. We did. I'll bring the stats up. Let's just we'll get into that in a minute.
That header, so tame. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was.
You know what I mean? It was the tamest header I've ever seen in my life. 4 shots on target. 12 shots. We never had 12 shots. There's no way we had 12 shots. Those must be passes.
Well, we'll get onto that game in a minute. Let's hear from Nige. Nige, what's your thoughts on that question? What I asked, which I started the show with. How much of a disadvantage is not having kind of like a star player in the team? I mean, Ben and Deji have just destroyed that theory. So over to you, Nige.
My theory is that we kind of do have a star player in the team, but we just don't play him to his strengths anyway, and that's Maddison. For me, we should be building a side around Maddison. Yeah, don't get me wrong. Maddison isn't Kane level. You know, he's not. He's a good player. He's not at the elite level, but we should be building a side around this player. But like Ben said already, the system just doesn't suit him. You know, and whenever the going gets tough, whenever it gets nasty, the first one to suffer is Maddison. He's always the one to come off. And I don't actually think it matters. I don't think it matters who we had in our team. I think we could have 11 superstars on our side, and I still think we get cut open every single game because it's just the tactics we play.
So none of you are having that argument. Yeah, Ange is just so bad. Even if he had a Kane or Bell in this side, we'll be still losing many games. I agree with all of you. I don't really have much more to add. I think all of you have nailed it. Yeah, obviously, you do want top players in your team. You want those kind of mavericks. And Maddison he is to a point. Obviously, he's not Kane level, but he can do things that many other players can't. So let's crack on with that Bournemouth match. I just want to bring up some stats and stuff about it, and just want your thoughts on some things, because it's not good, man. That performance was pathetic. Let's be real here. Look, I expected us to lose the game. I didn't expect us to outplay Bournemouth, but it was so bad. How can a team get worse with players coming back? That doesn't make sense to me.
Seems that way, doesn't it?
How does we got worse with more options? And let me bring up some stuff, and we're gonna get into this because we need to break it down. So let's start off with let's go back to the stats. Let's go back to the stats here. Now that's them stats there shows me that Bournemouth were clearly the better side. Look, I know we had the passes and I know we had the possession, but it's meaningless. Passing sideways, backwards, just no idea what we were doing. Anybody want to add anything to those stats?
It's a disgrace.
Not football, isn't it?
Yeah, the stats are a disgrace. And I agree with Dan with what you were saying, because we were told in the press conferences that once the players come back, we will see a different Spurs. We were told once the players have a bit of a break, because the Thursday, Sunday, which I didn't think was a big deal personally. But once they have they had an 8 days gap. So much so that some of these players didn't even bloody start against City. But anyway, that's another story. And they didn't turn up against AZ. They didn't turn up against Bournemouth. The truth of the matter is, Postecoglou reminds me of a character from Breaking Bad. There's a lawyer in Breaking Bad called Better Call Saul.
Better Call
So recently, Better Call Saul, and I've actually been watching the spin-off of Breaking Bad.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant, Deji.
It's brilliant because what you see is this geezer who is literally a hustler. He can hustle. He can sell snow to an Eskimo. And I can't help but see a little bit of that in our gaffer Postecoglou. He comes on and he keeps blagging us. And sometimes, even though I know he's talking absolute nonsense, he's selling me a mobile phone, that it's got privacy on it. When we know it's all load of bullets. Do you know what I mean? Because Daniel Levy has bought that crap. The worst manager we've had in our lifetime, and he's still in charge. And he still wants to say that we're going to get through against AZ on Thursday, which I know we'll touch on. But I just think he's a blagger. I think he's a gambler, Casino Royale, and we've seen it. You know, Dan, because at the beginning of the season, I was positive. I actually thought he might be the one. I actually thought he might have been Pochettino 2.0, and I wasn't hearing all the noise. And then the Brighton game is where it swung for me. After that, I was right. I said Spurs could lose 18, 19 games this season.
You did?
And had it not been for the footballing gods on the weekend, we would have hit 15. 15 defeats.
We're on our way to that, man. We're on our way. There's a lot to talk about, and we'll get back to that, Deji. Now, Ben, looking at this lineup here, there's something what's like, if you look at that lineup, what's standing out to you? That's like massively lacking in that team.
I said it before the game in the group chat, didn't I, boys? There's no creativity there at all. Nada, zilch, nout. We had no one who could cross a ball for Dominic Solanke, apart from Pedro Porro. Spence can cross a ball, but he's on his weaker foot on the left-hand side, so he's more likely to be driving inside with the ball. Johnson is a striker. He's not a winger. So all our creativity was our right back. That's our only, because Basuma can't really cross a ball, and he's asked to play as sort of a deep line box-to-box midfielder. Bentancur is just not the player he was after the 2 ACL injuries, which I feel really sorry for. And Sarr, as much as I used to really rate him to the moon, hasn't really shown me anything this year. You've got not a single person in that team. Do you think, you know what, he's going to get the ball and make something happen? Odegaard, I don't know what he is. I don't know what he is as a footballer at all. I feel really sorry for the geezer because he shouldn't be. He was at Burnley last year in the Championship, and suddenly he's playing top-level football. There's nothing there. It's a donut. There's no number 10. Where is it?
What was the plan, Nige? What was the plan for this match with that lineup?
I have no idea. I think the plan was to. The only thing I think it was just to get it out wide, cross the ball in. But you've got to have players to get it out wide. I'm with Ben. Bentancur for me, it's so sad because I really rated him, but he just looks a yard or two off the pace constantly. Basuma's not the same player he was, and Sarr I don't rate. Yeah, absolutely no creativity. And the only way we were going to score is if we could get any joy down the flanks, which with Johnson we're never going to. And Odebear's just too young. We're expecting too much out of him too soon, I think.
Let me show you the Bournemouth lineup, right? Let's check this out now. Look at that Bournemouth team, right? I mean, Tyler Adams, Ryan Christie, they're not well beaters, right? But we made them look like them. The way they're coached, the way they set up, the way they play their football with their pressing, we were trying to play it out from the back. Romero, I know he's a bit rusty, but giving the ball away, I mean, what were we doing? What were we doing? We're trying to pass out via Vicario, short passes out. It wasn't going to work. Bournemouth, you know, guys, are one of the best pressing teams in the league.
Yep.
And it was this suicide, absolute suicide. But if you look at that Bournemouth team compared to our team, nobody can tell me player to player they're better.
No, but they're well managed.
When you look at that Bournemouth team, you know what those players' jobs are. You know Christie's going to maraud forward with the ball. You know Tyler Adams is a bit more of that Captain America shield because he is Captain America. He's going to drop into that back three if they really, really need him. And both Christie and Adams can drop if they need Kluivert to have a bit of space. I just like saying Kluivert because I thought he was class at the weekend as well. I think he's not a shadow of his dad, but he's pretty decent.
He's come on, Ben, though, isn't he, this season under Areola? He really has.
You see that team and you know what all those players' jobs are. Whereas you look at our team and you think, oh, what the hell is going on here? What's going on? You don't know what they're doing. You've got Bentancur, who is, at his best, was a register number 6 in an Italian system, so a deep line playmaker. You've got Yves Bissouma, who at his best was a box-to-box midfielder for Brighton, and they're both... So Bentancur is where Bissouma is. Where Bissouma should be. Sarr was basically our number 10 because we don't have any. None of it makes sense. None of it. It's bonkers. It is bonkers. It makes absolutely no sense. And you look at that Bournemouth. Yes, Bournemouth. They didn't win the game. They bottled it. I'm going to say they bottled it because they should have beat us 4-5-6. Just by the chance.
They got lucky, Ben. No, we got so lucky.
We got very but they bottled it because Kepa sprinted out of his goal. We had no reason to and took Son out, who was very, very clever. Son of old took the tackle, got the penalty, scored the goal. You don't know what our plan is. It's so weird. Again, it goes back to Bissouma is best when he's a box-to-box midfielder. That's what he was at Brighton, and that's why we bought him. Bentancur is best as a deep line playmaker, which is what he showed at Juventus, which is the reason we bought him, because he was the deep line playmaker next to a more physical player, which is what we had. We had Højbjerg next to him, who was more the physical player, and you had Bentancur, who was the more classy player, and that worked. You had that duo there under that Conte system. And now you flip them around. You've got the number 6 as the number 8. The number 8 is the number 6. And Sarr, you don't know what he's doing. So no one's in their correct position, which means no one thrives. And then you've got that lack of creativity.
Look, guys, that performance, I mean, I did not enjoy that performance at all, man. That was so rubbish. I mean, people said, obviously, when Maddison came on, Berthold came on second half, that it did help us. Did they help us? Guys, can you remember any improvement?
It was a lie from the gate. Sorry, man.
Go on, Deji.
No, I was going to say it was a lie from the gates of hell. I did not see any improvement. When I was listening to some other streamers saying that Spurs had improved second half, I was like, really? As much as I love Maddison, he's not been himself this season. Let's be honest. Whether we've not built the team around him, whether he's not quite been on it himself, I feel like he does one good game and has 4 mediocre games. But you are right, though, Ben. You know, there's no. The issue is there's no structure, so the players look lost. And what's happening is Postecoglou shot himself in the foot because he came out with that statement that I don't do sixes, and so technically he can't do sixes. But what you have is three midfielders who don't know where they're supposed to be on the pitch, running around like lemons on the pitch. That's what you have. Then you've got Brennan Johnson, because the job is not to feed the striker. That's why Solanke can't score any goals. That's why I want Iriola, because Iriola will bring the best out of Solanke. The job is Brennan Johnson to score and whoever plays left wing to score. But Odegaard is not going to score to save his life. Well, at least not this season. And then Son is completely off form. And Brennan Johnson, bless his cotton socks, as soon as someone man marks him, he ain't going nowhere anyway. So, and then what I don't like is what you talked about. I think Archie Gray is a quality player, but I've not liked Archie Gray's performances. I'm not going to stand here and shake my bum.
But he's played in the wrong position, Deji.
He's been played in the wrong position. And then if you look at a lot of the games that we've lost, it's because of Archie Gray. But you can't blame Archie Gray. I was speaking to a coach who said in football, it's about positioning. It's about your position. But in your position, when you play a position long enough, it's also about instinct. What instinct would Archie Gray develop when he's played left centre-back for most of the season? Then he's played right centre-back for a bit. Then he's played right over three. Then he's played left-back. And then he's played bloody right-back. Of course, he's going to get cooked. You know, and so I just couldn't understand. Then you've got Jed Spence not playing when actually, man for man, when it comes to 1v1, you would trust Jed Spence to do a job on Doku than you would Pedro Porro. I mean, we see this with our eyes. We're not at the training ground. So what is this guy looking at? So I just think Postecoglou is creative. He thinks he knows something. And they say you can't teach an old leopard you can't change old leopard spots or whatever. And I think Postecoglou is that guy. I think his sort of system would work in the French league. It would even work in the Dutch league, where there's weak opposition. There's only probably two other teams competing with you. Everyone else is pretty pony. But in the Premier League, where any guy, any team on their day can give you a right slapping, that system, that style of play ain't going to work. The last thing I would say is this. I don't know if you've all noticed, but the players look leggy before kickoff. Almost as if they've trained 2 hours before kickoff. And there was a manager, I don't know if it was under Christian Gross or one of these crazy managers who kind of did this.
It was Felix Magath at Fulham used to do it.
He used to do this crazy training regime. You know what I mean? Those players are knackered, but before they even step onto the pitch, that's why they can't run. That's why they can't do anything, and that's why this man needs to leave.
Look, let's have a look at the average player positions there, right? So look, again, high line from Spurs, Bournemouth as well, playing a high line, probably even a little bit higher than us. Look at this. Look at this. And do you know what? Look where Wilson is, number 28, his average position. What's he doing there throughout the game? He was there. What was Ange trying to do? Play him as a striker? Trying to play him up front with Solanke? He's supposed to be a winger.
Solanke's the number 10 in this system, boys. He solved it. Let's go home. He solved it. You've got our best number 9 as a number 10. You've got our left winger who as a number 9. You've got our second striker who should be playing as a second striker, playing in midfield for what it looks like from that diagram. It's bonkers. It's bonkers.
Nuts.
I don't get it.
What is that? What is that? Nige, what do you think of that, mate? I know you don't like these sort of statistics and stuff, but
just looking at that, it tells me that we kind of like playing more down the right than we do down the left. I don't know. It's a difficult one because Odegaard looks like he's a striker there, and who was number 8? Is that Basuma? So Basuma was then 6, I guess.
Yeah, he was, and Bentancur and Sarr further ahead.
Yeah, it's just a mess. The whole team is just a mess, and that just sums it up.
And the attacking momentum, look at that. Bournemouth had a few consistent attack. But Bournemouth, for me, I think they were playing on the counter. Didn't you think, guys?
I think so
They're just
as well.
playing, they're just playing on the counter.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have possession, but they always looked dangerous. They created so many chances. And you look at us. We had a little period after the beginning of the second half where we pushed them a bit. But then Bournemouth had a go again, and then they had another go. I mean, I don't know how we got away with that, to be honest. That was...
what that graph tells you is the two most important words in football. Game management. Bournemouth know they've got loads of games and they've got loads of injuries. So they play in little pockets to maximise the fitness of the team. Because let's face it, guys, Bournemouth have more injuries than us, and they've had more injuries than us the entire. So we're all going, oh, look at the injuries, guys. Look at the injuries. Look at the injuries. Look at the injuries. Bournemouth have more injuries than us. But what that graph tells you is Iraola's seen that and said, I can't do what I want to do 90 minutes of a football game because I will kill more of my players. So they play in little pockets. Okay, we have a bit of a spell here. Take the foot off the gas, manage the game. When they've got a bit of steam back in them, they go again. Rest again. Steam, rest. And it almost came off. They had two massive mistakes, and that cost them the 3 points. That is football. That's football. It's what happens. But that shows that they're managed, whereas we're 100% all the time, which is why we break down. As Deji said, we looked leggy before the start of the game. Because I think we do. We in training, we do play to game conditions, which is probably not right.
Do you think that was like a kind of a job interview for Iraola, that?
No, I don't think so. I think personally, I think Iraola's got higher, bigger fish to fry than Tottenham. It would be a good stepping stone for him. I think it would be a good stepping stone for him before going to a bigger club, just like Pochettino before he wanted to go to. But of course, Pochettino faltered because squad management and players that wasn't given, and players did the dirty on him. But it's what happens. I think Iraola could use us as a stepping stone. I don't think he will need to. I think a bigger club will come in for him because they've seen what he can do with the resources he's got. And like you said earlier, those Bournemouth players are not better than Tottenham players. Man for man, they're not better. I don't think so. I predicted Spurs would finish 5th and win the Europa League this year. So shame on me for being a happy clapper. Shame on the coffee.
No, but we should though. I think under Iraola, we do that. Udogie is better than Kirkes if Udogie comes back to his senses. But at the moment,
sure about that, Deji. That bloke on the left, man, he looks solid.
Yeah, but you know, last season, Udogie looked like he was going to be Ashley Cole 2.0. Probably.
What's happened to him, man? What's happened to that guy?
Oh, since he got done by Minty Breath in that Brighton game, mate, he ain't been the same. That's the honest truth. But I also think he's struggling to play that system. But what Pochettino was able to do, what Iraola is able to do, is they're able to take average players and make them something. Semenyo came from Bristol City.
Yeah,
that's him.
He's quality.
Yeah,
quality.
I look at him. He's better than Brennan Johnson all day long. You don't even have to look too hard. So I do think under an Iraola, maybe Udogie comes back. Maybe remember Pedro Porro at Sporting Lisbon ain't the Pedro Porro we've got now, and he was. I remember
all of the players, Deji. All of the players. You could say that to most of them. They've all declined under Ange.
Basuma looked like a basketball player on the weekend. He looked like his shorts was going to fall off. To be honest with you, he just didn't know what he was doing. I just feel like the players have lost trust in Postecoglou, and they're just not. The only player turning up, in my opinion, is Jed Spence.
Bergvall,
because he wants to play, and Bergvall, but everyone else is checked out. They've been checked out for a while.
It's obvious, isn't it?
It's obvious. Let's be honest, though, Dan. We did the watch along, didn't we, on a TikTok? And I think we both said, I mean, probably not before the season started, but certainly during that Bournemouth game, I reckon 5 of those Bournemouth players walk into the Spurs team right now.
I'll take 5. The front 4.
On form, yeah. On current form.
Yeah.
Front 4 and Kirk.
And I've got to pull up a comment from Eugene quickly. He said he's not impressed with Iriola from what I saw over the weekend. From what I saw, big up first of all, Eugene. From what I
Big up,
saw is
Eugene.
a Bournemouth side that should have hit 6 against us, and on another day would have, and we got out of jail big time. I don't know what there isn't to be impressed about.
He was so
I thought
active
he
on the
was,
touchline, Ariola. If you saw him, he was
it was
shouting. He
cheap.
weren't happy, even when they were winning. He weren't happy.
Football
He
isn't
kept on
one game,
going.
though, is it? Football isn't one game. Bournemouth Stadium. Bournemouth are a tiny club, and I'm not going to disrespect Bournemouth, but that's what they are. They're a tiny club. Their entire stadium is smaller than one of our stands.
Yeah, 16.
They are they're a small club. Their training ground is it's like porter cabins. It's a tiny football club. Yet they're knocking on the door of Europe. And that's down to this manager. Before that, what were Bournemouth really? Gary O'Neill had them in the bottom 10. They weren't doing that great. Eddie Howe had them in a good spot, but really wasn't getting them to where they needed to be. He's taken them, a team with Spurs money as well, because he sold Solanke, who he got the best out of at Bournemouth. The reason we bought Solanke was because of Iriola. That's the reason we bought him, because Solanke did absolutely nothing as a top Premier League footballer in those 9 previous years before that, before he got managed by Andoni Iriola. Never had one of those seasons. Even in seasons in the Championship, he never put that much goals up. He put a few goals up, but never like 19, 20 goals in a season. We bought him because of Iriola. We bought their best player, and they've used that money to fund their team getting the players that they've got in. This is a much better manager than the one we've got. You saw the football they played. We're told we're playing this amazing attacking. That goal, it's a shame it wasn't given. That goal was sensational.
Were you there, Ben? You were at the game, weren't you?
The game, yeah. Some of the football they played was scintillating, and we're told that Spurs play an attractive random football. It's not. It's attractive for a neutral because they get to see loads of goals put against Tottenham. It's not. It's boring. It's one of the most boring styles of play that I've ever seen. And I'm putting up against Nuno. I think the football's more boring than Nuno's football. The first 6 months of Conte was better than the football we played. Even in the first 10 games of that magnificent 10-game spell that we done, which we were needing 100 minutes to score against Sheffield United. The first 6 months of Conte, much better football. Some of the football we played under Mourinho, like that 6-1 game against Manchester United when we absolutely pelted them during COVID. We played some unbelievable football. And we're told this Ange football is exciting. Bournemouth were a much better side to watch. As a football fan, I was very entertained by the way Bournemouth play football. Yeah. And you saw it earlier in the season when they had the majority of their players fit. They slapped us. They slapped us at their ground. They battered us.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And they shouldn't be, but they are, because they've got a quality manager that gets the best out of what he's got, even with the injuries, with the tools he's got. And that's what Tottenham Hotspur need. Just a manager that says, you know what, I'm going to get on with it. I know we've got Daniel Levy. We know we've got Daniel Levy. He's not going to back a team with all the treasure that we want. So here's what I've got. Let's see what I can do. He's not what Ange does is he gets all the ingredients for a steak dinner and he makes a chocolate milkshake. Don't ask for a chocolate milkshake. I want a steak dinner. That's what I'm paying for with the price that I pay to go and watch Tottenham every single week. And we're getting a Nesquik chocolate milkshake. It's rubbish. It's rubbish.
Guys, it is rubbish.
It's like those things on YouTube when you have the professional chef with the £5 ingredients and the home chef with the 105 pound ingredients. It's like that. But our managers, it's awful. It's awful.
As soon as we play anyone half decent, we're just done. Anybody half decent. You know, I'm going to bring up the home form.
Not even half decent. We got slapped by Ipswich when we had the majority of our players.
Look at this, guys. Look at this home record. Look at this. Guys, look at it's disgusting. Look at this home record. Never seen anything like it.
We can't win 10 games at home in a Premier League season. That's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. It's
We've
disgusting.
lost half. What's more embarrassing is we've lost half our games after 28 games.
Yep.
We've lost half. That is mad. That is crazy.
Guys, for you, when's this? It hasn't been as bad as this since what, 90s, right?
No.
Early 90s.
No, we lost as many games at home in 2011 under Juan de Ramos.
By the end of the season,
2011.
right?
Yeah, it was 2011. 2011 was it? No,
Yeah,
it
but
wasn't.
we still got 10 games to play.
2008 something.
Whatever. It's 2011 was the last time we couldn't win 10 games at home in the league.
Right.
It's
He
not
didn't last the season, though, did he? Then that season, that's when Redknapp
No,
came
he
in. Right?
didn't. It's disgusting. We can't be a team that doesn't win 10 games at home in the league, especially when they're putting the prices up. They're putting the prices up next year, and you're going to spending more money to watch the team lose.
Look, let's get some comments in the chat, guys. Let's get some comments in the chat, let's have a look. Nicola, big up to you. We would easily be in the top 4 or thereabouts with Areola.
Not easily.
I think we'll be competing up that table a lot better with
Sure.
Areola. Where we'd be, we don't know, do we? Big up Bristol City.
Yeah, Bristol City.
Eugene's replying to Rob, if you don't change your mind based on what you see, then you have an agenda. So they're having a little argument in the chat.
Eugene and arguing with people is like water. Like day follows night. Eugene's arguing with someone. It's great.
It's all going off. Matty K, big up to you. He's saying hello. Saying hello to Ben. Let's see if there's any other. This spotlight on Spurs has got a lot to say in the chat. So all the good things Bournemouth done was because the manager and not the players, but all Spurs issues are on the manager, not on the players. Guys, break this one down. Who wants to take that one?
Where did Spotlight Spurs predict we would finish in the league this season? I'm going to ask you the question. Where did you think Spotlight Spurs we would finish at the beginning of the season? I predicted 5th.
I predicted 3rd.
Yeah,
these players are not the greatest. We've had better sets of players in the history. They're not 13th. They're not 13th.
No, they're not. They're not 13th. No
way. If Postecoglou was a good manager, would be top 3. Because everyone else has been.
I don't think top 3. I think top 6.
Well, Nottingham Forest is 3rd.
Yeah. That's true.
That's the yardstick.
Yeah.
That's the argument, isn't it? That kills the argument.
Yeah, City's been that poor. Chelsea's not been all that. Aston Villa not really there. You know, Liverpool have been the only standout team. The Red Tottenham or the Gooners are just about hanging on in 2nd place. Really and truly, if Postecoglou was legitimate, with that squad, we should be top 3, top 4. Very easy. Very easy. Because everyone else has been that bad. But
Spotlight Spurs have said he predicted 6th at the beginning of the season and he didn't predict 3 months of injuries. We had the same injuries last season. Yeah. We had the same injuries last season.
It's worse this season. It's even worse.
We had these injuries last season.
Mm.
We had these
injuries.
Then
It's worse this year, mate, though, isn't it? The injuries are worse, I think.
For sure. The injuries
And why is that? Is that because of the training? Because this is very unusual.
They're playing more games of football.
And they're training them too hard in the training, right? It must be. It's a freak. It's a freak. How many injuries we had? And it's down to Ange. It must be. Nige, what do you reckon?
There's no doubt that the injuries have been slightly worse this season. You know, we can't get away from that. But we've been just as poor when we've had our 14 as to when we've been playing squad players. Oh, it's got nothing to do with the injury. Yeah, it doesn't help, of course. It doesn't give Ange the rope to pick and choose. But I don't think the injuries have been the reason why we're down in 13th place.
This season's been a massive missed opportunity now. You know, Deji, when you say, Nottingham Forest up there, Levy should have sacked Ange 2-3 months ago and got a decent coaching. And maybe it had been a bit too late then, but this season, man, what a waste. Absolute waste Waste of my life this season.
It is a waste, but it makes logical sense. And let me take your mind back. And sometimes I think Spurs fans, be careful what you wish for. Sometimes it's better to just die on your sword and just be honest. Now, all this kerfuffle has come about because there's a large section of the Spurs fan base that want to lie and say that Mourinho should have taken the final against Man City in the Carabao Cup a few years ago. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I was one of the Spurs fans saying Mourinho needed to go, and he needed to go before that cup final, simply because we're in a similar situation to now. The team was devoid of any confidence that I could not see Mourinho motivating this group of players to get a result against City in that final. However, the noise has been, and Levy heard it, you should have at least allowed him to finish the final. Maybe you would have had a trophy to sit on. Maybe, he would have reduced it, blah, blah, blah. We will never know, but personally, I'm not convinced that Mourinho would have won a trophy. We'll never know. So,
we weren't 13th, were we? We weren't 13th in the league.
We weren't 13th either. We weren't, exactly. We
weren't
13th.
And we had a far worse set of players.
Right.
We had Eric Dyer, Sanchez, we had Aurier. We had some real clangers in that team.
Right. Like, we got injuries to Kane, Son were injured.
We had the clangers without the soup dragon.
Exactly.
That's what we had.
Exactly.
Do you remember who we signed, guys, under Mourinho? What's his name? What's that Brazilian bloke we signed? He weren't great, was he?
Big
Carlos
Royale.
Carlos, whatever his name was, Vinicius, not Vinicius.
We had Vinny.
What board give Mourinho that type of quality striker, man? Come on.
Gedson Fernandez. Gedson Fernandez.
They gave him a polish.
But you can see the kind of the narrative, the rhetoric that was being said. So, of course, Daniel Levy, he watches YouTube. He hears us speaking in the background. He's like, I got to at least give this guy a chance, especially when Postecoglou is telling you, look, I know our league position ain't good, but look where we are in the cups. We're in the semi-final of the Carabao. We're still in the FA Cup. We're still in the Europa League. You've got to at least now see him through. If not, Postecoglou, Daniel Levy, they would be saying, had you left Ange in charge? He told you he always wins something in his second season. You got rid. Blah, 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 blah. I'm not convinced, just so we're clear. I want Ange out before Thursday. I'm actually going to the game. I'm not convinced we beat AZ at home on Thursday.
We're going to get to that, Deji.
You've got to let him. You've got to give the man enough rope to hang himself in the words of Sean Butler. That's what Sean loves to say. If he goes out, he's got to go.
Yeah.
The moment that final whistle, let's say we've lost against Az Alkmaar, the moment that final whistles, his P45's got to be signed if we lose that game. Because what we've done this season, this year, the amount of Spurs fans, free hits. Last week, Man City was how many free hits are we giving this man? How many managers get as many free hits as this manager? Free hit after free hit after free hit.
He better hand in his resignation if we go out on Thursday. He better hand in his resignation because that is just, my days.
I'd sack them all. I'd happily sack them all. I'd get rid of Lang. I'd get rid of Ange. I'd get rid of Munn. I get rid of all of them. Ryan Mason's got to go. I would love it if Mile Jedinak is sacked. What does Mile Jedinak do?
Nothing.
What does he actually do? Sack them all. Sack them all.
Beard.
Oh man, he's got a good beard.
He's got a very good beard. But I'm not. He shouldn't be paid millions of pounds a year to have a good beard. I think any of us could do that.
Yeah.
Guys, let's get on to the standards before we get onto that AZ game because we ain't even spoke about that mess last week we watched. Anyway, so the standards, guys. Let's go through the standards now. Let's start off with Nige. Nige, what are your standards? What do you want from Spurs? What are
my standards?
What are your standards for this club?
To be honest, I've been a fan for 45 years. I've never seen us win a league. and I don't think I ever will. For me, it's all about competing in the top 6 in the Premier League, and always, every single season, competing hard for trophies. That's my standards. Some people might say my standards are quite low, but for me, I don't think we're going to win a league anytime soon. But I've grown up with Spurs winning cups, and I want us to get back to winning cups again. So that's where I am at the moment. Listen, if we can start doing that, then maybe I'll look higher. But for now, just want us to really honestly start competing for trophies.
And what's the minimum for you? What's the bare minimum, Nigel?
A trophy every couple of years. A trophy like, 80s, 3 trophies in a decade. The 90s, a couple of trophies. I'm expecting 2 or 3 trophies every decade. Minimum.
Yeah.
Fair enough. And Ben, what's your standards for this club? What do you strive for? What do you want?
As a season ticket holder that pays the top whack of season ticket but isn't club level, for the money I pay or that my family pays, we got 4 season tickets in my family, and they cost 10k before the season even starts. 10k. For that money, I'm expecting star players on the pitch. I want cohesive style of football. And as Nige said, for that money, we should have a team on the pitch that's able to compete. When you go to a top tier restaurant and you pay loads and loads of money, you expect good food. And if the food's crap and you've spent £40 on a steak and the steak's crap, you send it back and you say, this is not acceptable. I've spent £40 on a steak and you can't cook it properly. We are paying the highest prices in the league, and the product we get on the pitch is disgusting. It's disgusting. Not even 10 wins in the league. You can't win every game of football. I'm not asking them to win every game of football. But there should be a team that's good enough on the pitch and a manager in the dugout that's good enough to win almost every game at home. You're not going to win every game at home because you've got some really top teams. You've got teams like you've got them lot down the road. You've got Chelsea that are in the ascendancy at the moment. They're 4th position. You've got Nottingham Forest that are playing well this year. You've got Manchester City who are Manchester City. They will be back next year. If they back up their Liverpool, I think I've said Liverpool. You've got some really good sides in the Premier League. You're not going to win every game. But you want to see a team that's capable of winning every game. My season ticket was half the price at the old White Hart Lane, and we didn't lose a single game at home in the last season. That's what I expect. I want a team that's capable of going an entire home Premier League season unbeaten. If you don't, you don't. But for the money we pay, I want to see some stars. I don't want to see Odebears. I don't want to see Brennan Johnsons. I don't want to see Bergvals at the moment. I don't want to see I don't want to see a nursery team. I want to see top quality players on the pitch for the money we pay. I don't think that's a lot to ask. I'm not going to go as far as Nige and say two to 3 trophies a decade. I've never seen that. I'm a 95 baby, so I was 4 when we won the League Cup in 99, and I was whatever I was, so 95. So I was 13 on the year we won the League Cup. So I saw that at least. I've never seen trophies at Spurs, but I want to see a team that's going and trying to compete for every single game of football. And if we don't win, they were the better team on the game. I don't want to see disgusting performances like this every single week. It's just awful. I just want to see cohesive football again. I know that's a really low standard to have. I just want to see cohesive, good football with competency. And some stars would be nice. A couple of star players would be nice for the money we pay. And we can definitely have a few star players with the money we've got.
I've got a question after we've discussed his standards. I've got a question for you all. But Ben, get it. Totally get it, man. but bare minimum, right? We need to be challenging. We need to be progressing. We need to be watching some good football, like under the Poch years. That was crazy. That was good. Not going unbeaten at home. We were so tough to beat. Our defence, we had the best defence in the league. We scored the most goals. Crazy how we didn't win the league that season. Now, Deji, I know what about your standards? Just tell me about your standards. What do you want from this club?
Look, like all of everyone on the panel, I love my club. Look, I expect Tottenham to be competing. I can't lie to you. I'm not this Tottenham fan that says, you know what, I think we're about 6th, 7th. No, I think if done properly, Spurs should be competing. Why can't we be like the noisy neighbours down the road? Why can't we be like a Chelsea? We've got the infrastructure. We've got the best stadium. In fact, everything off the pitch is the best. Yeah. It's just bloody on the pitch that is just lacking. So I expect Spurs to be challenging for the Prem. I expect Spurs to be Champions League football is a minimum for me. We should just be getting full standard. And maybe I was spoiled by Pochettino. But the thing I say to every Spurs fan is this. When we brought Poch in, nobody was expecting to be challenging for the league. Nobody was expecting Spurs to get Champions League, to get to a Champions League final. But we did it. We did it under a manager where Spurs, could you imagine? We were runners up. We were runners up. We almost won the league. And then we almost bloody got a Champions League. Whether you like it, we got robbed. We got robbed. So for me, I think what Daniel Levy's trying to do is a bit of a hit and miss. He's going to keep sacking until we get it right. He's not ready to spend the money, but maybe he finds a gem, another Pochettino. Maybe that's Iriola. Maybe it's not. And we go and compete. But I think anything below top 4 for Spurs is a poor season. And then for me, why not? Spurs should be picking up trophies every couple of years. Why not? I've been told that as a Spurs fans would bite people's hands off for a Carabao. So if that is the case, why don't you knock 2 or 3 of those in a decade and then knock another 1 or 2 FA Cups? Personally, Ben, as you probably know, I could give a damn about those trophies. I'm quite happy to wait it out for a decade and win a Prem or a Champions League. But the truth of the matter is Spurs should be winning trophies because that's what we are. That's the sort of club that we are. And anybody accepting anything less than Champions League football means that they don't believe in our club, in my opinion.
I disagree with you. The FA Cup was the jewel in Tottenham's crown. I would love to see us win an FA Cup. That was when Spurs came up after being relegated and came back from the 2nd division. The symbolism of Spurs winning the FA Cup, because we were the team in the FA Cup. You played Spurs in the FA Cup in the 80s and the 70s. You're like, oh, I'm not going to win today. I want that fear factor back of the cups. I want Spurs, the cup team, back as well. Of course, I'd love to see us competing in the league as well. I would love it. I would rip your hands off. But I just want to see some silverware, and I'll take any bit of silverware that's a competitive trophy at the moment because I've only seen 1 trophy in my life.
I hear that, Ben. But Ben, what I want, but I'm not on. I've heard Spurs fans say, and I'm saying so. Be careful what you wish for. I'm not prepared to finish 14th and win an FA Cup.
It's not good enough. Not good enough.
We should be able to do both.
No.
We should be doing both. We should be finishing minimum top 6 and winning a trophy with the money we pay and the facilities we've got. You're absolutely right to point out the facilities. The facilities are the best. Everything's the best but the playing staff, but the employees. There's no point. I've worked in coffee my entire life, and there's no point having the best La Marzocco coffee machine. There's no point having the best Malconic coffee grinder, the best fridges, the best worktops, the best flooring even, the best cleaning products. There's no point if you don't have the person that knows how to use them.
Yeah.
That's why you've got to have good employees as well. And our employees that we've got Sophie Smith in the house is saying he's had his hands. Why did he do what he did for the Australian national team then when he wasn't back, which is walk away? That's what he did. That's what we were told by the Ange fans. The Ange fans, they said, if he's not happy, he'll walk away.
You're right.
Rubbish.
You're right.
Everything they've told us about him is rubbish. It's rubbish. He says,
Right.
I've got a big club now. I've got an enormous football club under my tenureship. I'm not giving that up because he knows as a 59-year-old manager, he's not getting another big club ever again. He's never getting a big club because they've seen what he's done. He's never getting a big club again. The only way is down. He's not going to get a Man City. He's not going to get an Arsenal. He's not going to get a Chelsea. He's not going to get a Villa. He's going to get either a mid-table Premier League job, or he's going to be in another league, like Deji said earlier, a Liga, an Eredivisie, maybe a Bundesliga even. He's never going to get a job as big as this again, earning this much. This is his highest paid job that he's ever been paid, £5 million a year. He's not going to walk away from that. So they're lying. If he really cared about that transfer window and he really didn't like the transfer window, why didn't he walk away?
He said he was happy with it.
He said he was happy with it. He was telling fans on the plane.
I believe him, though.
When fans said, he told fans that he wanted better strikers. He signed to Timo Werner.
Twice.
At that moment, if Ange had said, "Nah, I'm not having this. I'm walking away," I'd be like, "Ange, you are my hero. You are the best manager we've ever had because you've got standards. You've got standards." Conte, people say Conte was he walked away, which is why his staff still stayed there. He walked away. He said, "I can't deal with this. I'm ripping up my contract. I don't want to do this anymore. I can't do this." Ange sits there. He laps it up. He laps it up. The only way is down. The only way is down.
Right, let me have my say. Now, this second part of Sophie's comment here, Levy sets it up for failure every season and changing this manager won't make a difference. I get that. Look, we're never going to really, truly challenge until Levy either changes massively, which I don't think he'll ever do, or he leaves. But what we can expect as Spurs fans is at least have a decent coaching and get the best out of the players that are given to him. And that's not happened this season. Now, what I expect from this club, the whole point of building this stadium, this $1 billion stadium, was to compete with the top teams in the Premier League and in Europe, right? So that we could pay the wages, attract the top players. Like we've been in the Champions League final, under Potts, we challenged for a title a couple of seasons, but we've regressed. Yeah. Levy, he brings in Mourinho, he brings in Conte. You're thinking, okay, that's good, but you're not giving him the players that he needs to challenge at the top end. Yeah, not breaking the wage structure. So I demand us to challenge, right? I want to see us win leagues. I want to see us win Champions Leagues. I want to see us win cups, FA Cups, Carabao Cups. I want us to bloody try, right? At least have a board there in charge to see that they want to win on the pitch. And we're not seeing that under Levy. And fair play to these protests. I'll be getting down there on the 6th and we're going to have to keep pushing. And this protest needs to keep going and going and going until something changes because it's disgusting this season. Yeah. Absolute disgrace. Yeah. Daniel Levy and this board have been winging it for years. 24, 25 years, one trophy. The evidence is there. Now, I do question some of the fan base's standards, right, for accepting this. People pay a lot of money to watch Spurs and they keep going. And I get that. It's their love of the club. Yeah, but why aren't more people challenging this failure? And I'm hoping that these protests, Change for Tottenham, really rallies as many fans on board of this. It's so, so important. But go on, Deji.
No, I was going to say the reason, Dan, why they're not challenging it is because, unfortunately, we are living with a fan base that is living life on a bit of a wing and a prayer. And I'm going to put my hands up and say, yes. I, at the beginning of the season, was saying, if it's good enough for you, it's good enough for me. And what did that mean? I was looking at the Red Tottenham, the Spicy Spurs, Scotch Bonnet FC, Red Hot Chili Peppers, and the fact that in their second season, they finished 8th, and then they finished 8th again, before Arteta was able to kind of get it right, and they kicked on. And I think deep down, secretly, we are hoping that we're going through a similar journey. He might get it wrong this year. He might get it wrong next year. or maybe he gets it wrong this year, and then we're hoping that Postecoglou will kick on, and all of a sudden it clicks with the Spurs players, no injuries, and we're flying in top 4. I will say that is a wing in the Prem. There is nothing to suggest that next season we will be much more improved. And so therefore we are playing a risk with our club. Are we going to risk keeping Postecoglou in charge and making things worse? Or are we going to use our eyes and say, you know what, it ain't working. The stats say it's not working. Our eyes say it's not working. So we need to get rid. I think Spurs fans are so jaded by the fact that it's never worked. They think we got to give him a chance. The other thing I would say is just because it hasn't worked doesn't mean it ain't going to work. People banter me, Spurs will never win a trophy. They'll never do this. They'll never do that. Who would have thought that Nottingham Forest would be in the top 3 after 28 games? You didn't see it coming. I didn't see it coming. In fact, we laughed them off when they brought 21 players in. We were saying, stupid mugs, brought in so many players and they're not clicking. The thing is, that's football. It's so weird. You know, anything can happen at any moment. So no one can tell me nothing. So look, and that is under Nuno, who people have asked me, would you take Nuno back? I'll probably say no. It didn't work for him. It didn't look like it was going to work for him. I wouldn't take him back, but I am happy for him because he was a good manager and maybe he deserved a little bit more time than what we gave him.
He deserved a better transfer window. If you look at Nuno's transfer window, that was rubbish. Worst transfer window we've had for seasons.
They took so long to get him, didn't they? They took 59 days to get him, and then they gave him a hash of a transfer window.
All they gave him was Romero. That was it.
Yeah. And look who he bought in. He didn't buy expensive players. He bought players that you really, really want. Like I was, Sean will tell you this. I was desperate to get Milinkovic. I think Milinkovic is a very good centre half, and I loved watching him at Fiorentina.
Clever signing.
Clever signing, 11 million. He's already got players like Morgan Gibbs-White. They sold Brennan Johnson for 48 million and 6 million add-ons, whatever it was. Which, funnily enough, they had accepted an offer for 33 million. So we just gave Nottingham Forest more money for the sake of it. We just gave them more money. They bought smart signings, and that is down to transfers. You can't blame that all on Ange because the transfer team is awful. The transfer team's awful. But we were raving about these players at the start of the season. We were raving about them, and suddenly they're not good enough. We put all these players on a pedestal, and now suddenly they're not good enough. What is it? It's got to be halfway. Either the players are not good enough, or the manager's not good enough, or it's a bit of both. Or it's a bit of both. Maybe we need some more experienced players in the team, and they would be able to shepherd the youth players through the game, which would be great. We need experience for the young players to learn off. But maybe if we had a manager that saw, you know what? If I coach these boys, especially now we've got all our players back, if Danso drops to the bench against Az Alkmaar, I'm going to be furious. I think Danso's been all right. But Ange is the type of manager. He's the type of bloke that would drop Danso and play Romero and Van der Ven against Alkmaar. He's the type of guy that would do that.
Guys, Ben, I want to add on to this, what you're saying here, because I think what you're saying is this doesn't take a lot, right? I think we have got a good group of players. We've got some good potential young players who can really blossom in this side under the right coach. It doesn't take a lot for me. Yeah, it's so simple, right? You get a decent coach in who knows what they're doing. And in that summer transfer window, you don't bring 7 or 8 players in. You bring in 2 or 3, 4 top players, experienced winners, leaders who can come into that side, shake it up and mean business. And that's what you need to do. Season in, season out, break the wage structure and be serious about winning. Am I wrong?
This is it, Dan.
Am I wrong?
And you're spot on, but it's all very well getting rid of the manager, but if the recruitment's still crap, what's the point?
I get that. Yeah.
What I've heard so far in the last 10, 15 minutes is that we sold Solanke. We signed Solanke from Bournemouth, 65 million, and we signed Johnson from Forest for 48 million. That's the best part of 115 million pounds that we spent on 2 players. And look where Bournemouth and Forest are now with their recruitment. compared to where we are.
No, you're right, Nigel. This is the problem. It's
I
so
agree.
wrong. There's so many issues, man. There's so many issues with Levy, the recruitment team. I mean, but what I just said, it sounds simple, right, Deji? It sounds
Yeah.
simple, right? Yeah, that's how you be successful. Yeah, you get a good coach in, coach these players, improve them, bring in top players, experienced players, winners, and then you go for it. And we're not. I think we're not that far away if we recruit right in the summer.
Yeah, I think so. The thing is, last season or 2 seasons ago, I called it out. I felt like we were in no man's land. We call ourselves a Big Six club. We brought in a top 6 manager in Mourinho and Conte. We brought them in, and then we weren't ready to spend the money on the players. So that was a bit dumb. And I actually said, I don't mind Spurs just finding their identity. If you don't want to spend big, you don't have to spend big. You can be successful without spending big. But are we prepared to spend 2 million on a Enciso or a João Pedro or a Belaba? But Spurs don't want to do that either. So they didn't want to take a gamble on new, fresh talent on the continent, but they didn't want to spend big. So we were left in no man's land. And then we went for Postecoglou. I think, genuinely speaking, Levy's just got it wrong. He thought Postecoglou, remember, he was our 4th choice anyway. He did want Arne's slot. Postecoglou isn't the guy. Sack him, bring in someone else. I've been calling out all season. There are 2 managers after Poch who I considered before Postecoglou. Marco Silva and Iriola. Now, they're not world beaters, but they are managers that have proved
They're
that
competent managers.
Yeah, they're competent. And Pochettino, when we brought him in, he was no Conte. He was a competent manager at Southampton. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So all I'm asking for is a little bit of competency. Look what he's done to Fulham. Fulham are a good bloody side. They're a good team. That's all I want. And with better players and more money, and let's see what happens. That's football. Daniel Lee, like I think even Postecoglou said, even when you buy players, you're not sure whether they're going to perform.
Every transfer's a risk.
It's a risk. And every manager's a risk. But as soon as you know it's not working, get rid, bring someone else in. We keep doing that until it works. I was saying to some Liverpool fans yesterday that as much as you're shaking your bum and you're giving all the credit to Arne Slot, the honest truth is, had everyone else been normal, i.e. City normal, Arsenal normal, Chelsea normal, United normal, they would not be top of the league. And it so easily could have been Eric Ten Hag down there. Liverpool, as good as the season they had, it could have been royally shit.
He's a very good manager, though, and Klopp left him a very good. And Liverpool's recruitment team for years has been fantastic. Yeah. You can't ignore that as well.
Spot on it as the recruitment for Liverpool.
The most important thing is Scott Mann needs to be sacked as well. Scott Mann is horrific. He is not a football guy.
Useless.
He is horrific at managing a football.
What does he do?
I personally think that Levy, I don't even think Levy's in charge of football, maybe. I think Scott Mann's in charge. And Scott Mann is one of Ange's mates. He's the guy that brought him in. Yeah. What was Scott Mann before he came to Spurs? He was at the City Group, expanding, he was in charge of multi-club. That's what Scott Mann was.
Wasn't it the Olympics or something he was involved in?
That was before the City Group. Before the City, he was part of the Olympics in Australia. I don't know which city. One of the Australians in the chat will tell us which. He's not a football guy at all. He's a businessman. He's about acquiring clubs and building up clubs. That's what he's good at. It's what he did at the City Group. And we've brought him in and expecting him to do football. He's useless at football. Yeah. He's useless. And whether you like him or not, look how much better Paratici was. Much better players. Much better players under Paratici. Much better. Much better. And now we've got Scott Mann is useless. Get them all out. Sack them all.
I agree. Now, let me put a different take on this now. So we all talk about standards, right? And we've been talking about all of our standards, people in the chat standards, right? Levy standards. What about Levy? I do not think, even though we can't stand Levy, I don't think he's going to be happy with how this season's gone.
No.
You know, Levy's bare minimum is challenging for Europe, right? Some kind of European competition. Yeah. He will be looking at this and thinking, look at the teams above, Nottingham Forest, Brighton, Bournemouth, Fulham doing better with spending less money. I can't see how Ange, and Sophie's put it in the chat here that, she thinks he may be here. I can't see how he can be here when we're on record-breaking 19-20 defeats possibly in the league, which takes us back to 2003, 1991 seasons. I just can't see how this guy can survive this season.
Well, he can survive if he wins the Europa League.
Yeah, but Deji, come on, man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't expect him to, but let's say in the unlikely event that he was to win the Europa League, he's in charge.
It's a default. It's a default.
Yeah, default.
He gets it by default. Yeah, and I get that. I can accept that.
But you know what? I would go as far as to say, and we talked about standards earlier. That is low standards from Spurs. He wins the Europa League, and he's in charge at the beginning of the next season. You've seen Chelsea win trophies and sack the manager straight after. But we would keep him in charge, you know what I mean? And that's standards. Go on.
They sacked Rafa Benitez after winning the Europa League.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the standards. That's what we're talking about. We Spurs fans, he gets 3 months of the beginning of the next season to really, really put us in a relegation dogfight. Do you know what I mean? And that's the worrying thing.
Sophie, I don't see any improvements in this team. I'm really struggling, Sophie. I know. Please tell me what you've seen. What have you seen? And has any players got better? No. Are we playing better football? No. Are we looking worse? Yes. Yeah, we're 13th in the league, out of both domestic cups, out of the FA Cup in a whimper. Yeah, I can't see anything what Ange is doing to make me feel that okay, maybe give him one more season. The recruitment is awful. I get that. They have not backed him. I get that, but he should have stood up to them. So I'm thinking we need to try another coach in the summer and go again and just pray that the recruitment improves. Sack the whole recruitment team, like you said, Ben. Sack them all. Bring in some proper scouts as well and scout some good players.
We only have 6 scouts globally.
That's so low, isn't it?
We should have 6 just for London.
Yeah, that's so low.
Real talk. We should have 6. We only have 6 globally, and like we do with the rest of our bloody club. We outsource the medical team as well. We outsource the medical team. We should have 6. We should have far more scouts looking at every single nook and cranny on the planet to see where these good, talented players are. We should spend money on scouts. Sophie's just. They compared Ange to Bill Nicholson. Shut up. If Bill Nicholson saw the way that Ange talks to reporters, he would take him to the nearest bathroom by his ear, and he would.
I think she's on a wind up, Ben. That's not serious. That's not a serious comment.
It would be washing his mouth out with soap and saying, "Don't you dare disrespect the job of manager in Tottenham. Don't you dare do that. You're in a privileged position of being the manager of this great football club. You don't act like that." He would not stand for rudeness. He wouldn't stand for it. He wouldn't stand for it.
And
also, Bill Nicholson built one of the best defences you'd ever seen with Dave Mackay and Danny Blanchflower. He cared about defending.
Ange is the biggest excuse maker I've ever heard. The biggest excuse maker. He never looks at himself, never learns. Yeah. It's the same old blame the injuries. You've got all your players back now, Ange, and you look even worse. Work that one out. What was he blaming at the weekend? Oh, he's blaming the pitch against AZ, weren't he? What's that? The fans?
He blamed fans.
Blame the fans. What's he going to blame on Thursday if we don't win? There's no excuses. We must go through that tie against AZ.
He's going to blame the fans on Thursday because I'll be booing. I'll be one of the ones booing in the stands.
He's going to blame your hat, Edgy. I think he's going to blame your hat.
He's going to say, you know what, why are you wearing that hat? You should have had your hair out and had a haircut.
I'm sorry, he's lost me, man. This guy, this Ange, I can't stand it. I just can't accept it. I can't accept this. What a miserable season we've had. Miserable season. 13 defeats, man. Losing to Leicester. Leicester, they're the only team that's beat us. Leicester's the only team. They've lost everyone else. Ipswich have beat us. Palace. The list goes on. But then there are fans will say, well, Postecoglou has beaten Slot, has beaten Guardiola, has beaten...
and that's what
That's what people are hanging on to.
Only 5 of those
Those
teams
are
in
the
the
two
league are
games.
a lot more
Those are
crap.
the two games. Yeah.
Some and defenders, they say that, look, that's what he's done. They really think, look, you can't say he's done nothing. He's beaten some of the top teams, but it doesn't matter. If you can't
Mate,
beat...
if you go to if we all went to Las Vegas and we spent 24 hours in a casino, you win something. Or if you buy enough scratch cards, you might get £1 back.
So you're fluking.
Him winning against Liverpool, him winning against Man City is not a measure that Spurs is a good team. It's just that
we've lost more games against Man City than any other manager under this guy. Man City used to come to Tottenham. We used to beat them. Whatever we could have one player on the pitch and we'd still beat them.
I could be in charge of Spurs, and we play City in our first game of the season, and I back myself to get 3 points. That's how confident I am. So we can't take anything from beating City. That's what we do. We're their bogey team. However, look, we can go around and we keep saying it. Postecoglou has a job to do. As much as I'm saying I don't like him, I don't. And I think for me, just lastly, I just want to say this. On reflection, that Tamworth, I think Nicola said it, we couldn't beat Tamworth in 90 minutes. That's that's the truth. That's why he has to go. We could not beat Tamworth in 90 minutes. And since then, our performances has shown why we couldn't beat Tamworth. To go to AZ and not get a single shot on goal is commensurate to the dusty draw we had against Tamworth. It's commensurate to the losing to Ipswich at home. I said to a mate, is it unrealistic to expect Spurs at home to get a draw against Ipswich? I mean, come on, guys, let's be honest. And so you can see that when he is eventually sacked, all the evidence points that he's been Spurs' worst manager in recent time. And so for me, that's why. However, I will say this. I am a Spurs fan, and I'm willing to be pleasantly surprised. I'm willing for him to pull a rabbit out of the hat, somehow get us through against AZ, because I'm not convinced we're going to get a result against AZ. But even if we do,
Deji, before we go on to the AZ game, and we're going to go on, I want everybody to call what's going to happen. Is Ange going to be here in the summer? Nige, call it out. No? Ben? No? Deji, is he here? Unless he wins Europa. Take that away, so we get knocked out.
He shouldn't be here. But I you know what? I want, so that Ange doesn't feel that I've got a personal vendetta against him. I want to believe, not believe. Ange needs to get a result against AZ. He needs to get a result against Frankfurt, and he needs to get a result against Lazio. That's that. He's here. Doesn't do it, he's gone.
And if he doesn't win that Europa League, sack him.
I mean, yeah, as soon as we go out, we leave that.
The moment, I said it earlier in the show, the moment we're knocked out of the Europa League, sign the 45.
Yeah.
Gone.
Yeah, gone. Gone.
Yeah. That's the only thing that saves him, is if he manages to win that trophy, because that would bring us Champions League football next season. It's the only thing that would save him. But it'd be hollow. It would be hollow. I'm celebrate, and he'll be one of the greatest managers since '84 if he wins the Europa League, because he would win the Europa League. But still, it'd be very, 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 very unlikely we win. We have got a chance. Any team that's in any competition has a chance of winning. I even said it about them Gooners down the road. If they play Real Madrid, they've got a chance of beating them. They've got a chance. They've got a chance.
Even if we win it though, Ben, by some miracle we win the Europa League, would you want Ange taking your team into the Champions League next season? I wouldn't want him anywhere near it.
You give him the opportunity to reap the rewards he's sown. If he's earned that opportunity off his own back, you've got to give him the chance to reap those rewards. But if we go out, sack him.
So do you think he'll be sacked, Ben? Do you think if we lose to AZ, really, do you think he'll be gone? in the morning.
I think he'll be gone Friday morning, and Ryan Mason will be in charge by the end of Friday.
Happy days, eh?
Another reason. So someone said it in the chat. Why are people so obsessed with Ryan Mason? It's because he's Levy's mole in the changing room. That's why we want him gone. Because the moment a manager is sacked, Ryan Mason's in charge. I want him gone as well. We need new ideas. We can't have the same ideas in that changing room. We need new ideas. We need new playing staff, and we need new director of football, or bring back Paratici and bring those ideas, because his ideas were starting to work before he got the ban. They were starting to work.
Yeah.
But
Right.
Get rid of Mason.
Let's move on to that AZ game. That's the final subject tonight, right? Let's get it going. Let's get it going. Now, that performance against AZ on Thursday. Oh my days. What a shit performance that was.
Yeah.
I after that, I was just done. I was done what I saw in that game. Like AZ, okay, look, they're sixth in their Dutch league. They're an organised team. They know what they're doing. Yeah, they're on a good run, right? They will think it was 10 wins out of 11 in their league. Knocked out Ajax, knocked out Galatasaray. Yeah, they know what they're doing, right? But what we showed on that day was literally nothing. We showed nothing in that game. Absolute. What were the players doing? You know, and we talk about the players have given up for the manager. That's what it looked like for me. They didn't try. There was no passion. And we were lucky to get out of there 1-0. Let's be real here. AZ had a couple of other good chances. Vakari had to make 2 good saves. One from Parrott, and there was another one in the second half. We literally had 1 shot on goal. I think it was Wilson. And that was it. And we come out with 1-0. That was just unacceptable, the performance from the players as well. We can blame the players as well, you know. The players, they're in a competition, yeah, to try and win something. Like, what else are they doing here? I know we like to blame a lot on Ange, and Ange is the biggest issue. But the players, what were they doing? Did they not give a shit? Guys,
it's not that the players didn't give a shit. It's more.
But it looked like it, Deji. They didn't turn up, did they?
Look, people keep talking about players. It's the manager's job to get into the mind of the players and make sure that they're ready. I don't think I've seen a game from the spicy Spurs where they haven't turned up. Yes, they haven't got a result, but they turn up and they give 110%. Even the game against United on the weekend, they gave it their all, despite the fact they didn't have a striker. You can't knock them for that. We have turned up maybe 12, 13 times where the players just haven't turned up. And I knew from the second half against Brighton, when you're 2-0 up at half time, and the way we got turned over, that was a concern. But he came out with, that's never happened before. And then all of a sudden, we've had the whole seasons of this has never happened before. The truth of the matter is the players are lost. They don't know what they're doing. There is no style of play. They are making it up as the game is going on. That is the problem. So you can see that. Plus, you're playing players out of position. So when you're doing that and there's no style of play, there's no 6, it's going to be a mess. It really is. The first thing you got to do, most managers, all of our previous managers, the first thing they do is they sort out the defense. You make sure you're hard to beat. Then you build with the attack. We've never sorted out our defense and we've never sorted out our attack. It's just gun-ho football. And because it's gun-ho, the players, they're exhausted. You know, Madders is saying to Son, I don't know, why does this always happen? What is he doing? It doesn't make sense.
Same way every week. Same play way every week.
Because, yeah.
And then he drops Maddison, didn't he? He dropped Maddison for the next game, didn't he? He dropped him.
Who then created the equaliser, didn't he? Because he created that pass that got Sonny in for the goal.
He did. He did.
You know? So that's the issue for me, anyway.
So you don't put any blame on the players, Deji? No, all on the manager.
Look, I'm telling you, I'm telling you now. Under Iriola, those players turn up. I even said as a you know, Spurs fans won't appreciate me saying this, but I think if you get my logic, you know what, mate. Under Arteta, that doesn't happen. If Arteta was in charge of our squad, do you think we turn up to AZ and get beat? Could never happen. Could never happen under Arteta. Never.
They'd be organised. They'd be organised.
Really?
He would be on the touchline, ranting and raving. He'd be running about. He'd be making changes. He'd be adapting during the game.
Right. And that when I said to someone, I was on Dan Potts' show yesterday, and I said, look, I would take Arteta at Spurs as my manager. They all laughed at me. And I said to them, I don't know why you're laughing. If you look at that Arsenal team, it's average. It's crap. They were only missing two of their starting lineup. No, but against United, they were missing two players, Havertz and Saka. That's it. That's it. So I think he's taken a pretty bang average Arsenal team and he's got them second in the Prem. That's the truth. They're not world beaters. That's, you know what I'm saying. So for me,
they've got some very good players in there, though, Edgy. They've got
they've got Saliba, Gabriel, and
Rice. Got Declan Rice, who's quality. Saka when he was fit, he's a top quality player.
That's it. No one else.
Timber has been very decent this year. David Raya is a good goalkeeper.
Look, I don't want to talk about Arsenal much on this show.
What I'm trying to say is, let's just compare. I'm saying to you that anyone down the road, even down the road, if he was in charge, it wouldn't be this bad. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah, of course.
I
agree.
It can't be the players.
Yeah, I agree. And just the thing with Arsenal, massive mistake was not signing a forward. If they had to sign a forward, yeah.
And that is why Arteta isn't an elite manager. Because he saw that he needed a forward and he didn't sign one.
Yeah.
It's down to him. That's why he's not an elite manager.
Yeah. Okay. So just Nige, that AZ, I mean, it was disgusting performance and we're lucky it's only 1-0. Now we're going into this tie on Thursday. Who's going to be playing? Who do you want to play? Nige, what do you think the team's going to look like? Centre-backs, Mero, Van der Ven, are they playing? Who's playing in midfield? What's going on? What's Ange going to do on Thursday?
I think it will be Van der Ven and Romero. I think they have to start. I don't know. Who knows with Ange? I think Maddison has to start. I expect Sonny to start and Solanke. It's who starts on the right for me, which is the going to be the most interesting thing. Obviously, Bentancur can't play, so I would expect that midfield is going to be awful. I'd expect Basuma maybe to come in.
Is Bentancur suspended, guys? Or is he suspended for the Premier League?
No, he's suspended for the Europa League game.
Okay.
So he got booked over there, didn't he?
Yeah.
So I would think it would probably be Basuma and Bergvall and Maddison. I don't know. Maybe Udogie, maybe Spence. But whoever plays, we have to go out like this is our cup final. This is our cup final. I want to see every single thing left on the pitch. I don't want any more excuses. I can take losing games, but I want to see those players on their knees at the end of it, giving their absolute everything. And that includes Ange in that. I don't want to see him with his hands in his pockets this game. I want to see him actually doing something like he cares.
He doesn't. He won't change. He won't change. I think the team picks itself before I jump, because I've got to jump in a couple of minutes.
Go for it, Ben. What's your lineup?
The team picks itself. Well, for me, the team picks itself. He won't play it, but Vicario in goal, of course. Right back is going to be Pedro Porro. My back two are going to be Danso and Van der Ven. And I would do what he did with Van der Ven and Romero, what he did for the Bournemouth game. I would start Van der Ven and I would bring Romero on later in the game to manage their minutes. Jed Spence will be left back. If he doesn't play Jed Spence, what's he on? If he doesn't play Jed Spence, if he doesn't start Jed Spence on Thursday, sack him on the spot.
Yeah.
Literally, Deji, you sit close to the and let him pull you out of the crowd and say Deji's in charge. I'll sit near you actually, and we'll take charge. If he doesn't play Jed Spence on Thursday, sack him on the spot.
I'm ready to do the job.
midfield, if Bentancur is suspended, will be Bergvall, Maddison, and Sarr. And the front three will pick itself again. It'll be Solanke, Son, and Johnson. That's what he'll pick. Will it win? I don't know. For me, that's the team that picks itself. I think Van de Ven and Danso look like a better unit than Danso and Romero. I think Danso is not a left-footed. He's not a left-sided centre back. He's a right-footed centre back. He's a traditional centre half. He's not left-footed. He's not John Terry. He's right-footed and played. He was a right-footed player. So I think you've got to play the players in their right positions as much as you can, and I think that's what will suit the team, in my opinion, personally.
Fair enough. I'll get that. Ben, do you need to jump now?
I'll jump now. I've got to give the partner a call. But thank you so much for having me, Deji. Finally, our paths are crossed, and hopefully many more.
Yeah,
this is the stars have aligned. Nige and Dan, always a pleasure. We chat all the time anyway.
Yeah,
but thanks for having me on. Chat. Thanks for being brilliant.
Please, guys, subscribe to Ben if you haven't. The link's in the chat. Cheers, Ben. Thanks for coming on, mate. And hopefully there's a win on Thursday. You're going to watch and you'll be happy.
Of course. And as always, Levy out. Cheers, boys.
Take care, man.
Cheers, Ben.
Deji, now over to you, man. What's this team looking like for you on Thursday? Who do you want to start? Forward line. Yeah. Let's start with a forward line. Who do you want up there?
I really like Solanke. I want Solanke up top. And then I don't know. Is the honest truth. I don't think Son's been good enough at all this season. So I'm not.
He will start though, won't he? He's captain, mate. He's going to start. He's going to start.
He shouldn't start though. He's been that poor. He shouldn't start. But I guess I think maybe you go with Son, Solanke, and Odebear on the right hand side, because Brennan Johnson cannot start this game. Crikey, he's dustier than Tutankhamun. It's going to be Bergvall starting. I mean, Cooley. I hope Cooley's back.
He's out.
I want Cooley in the if he's out, then it's going to be Madders, Bergvall, and Bissouma or Papsar, because there's no Bentancur. Then we're going to go. I want to go with Danso, Van de Ven. I think Danso has the potential to be what Saliba is to Arsenal, what Van Dijk is for Liverpool. I think he's been brilliant. And I said that from the time I saw him against France for Austria when he broke Mbappe's nose, and I knew, he's a real one. So Danso, Jed Spence got to start on the right. To be honest, I would rather have Jed Spence on the left and Porro than Udogie on the left and Jed Spence. I just don't think Udogie's been up to it. And sometimes I think Son and Udogie have probably been our two poorest players this season. My issue is it doesn't matter who starts. If they're not motivated and they're not ready for the fight, then nothing will happen and we'll lose. And I think my biggest concern is, will the boys be up for it? Nigel, you said something. You said that it's the guys have got to play like it's their cup final. It was already their final. Last week against AZ, after the game, Postecoglou said, we want to win this competition. Well, you could have fooled me with that performance. So I'm not about to believe for 1 second that, I would like to see the players up for it. If the players are up for it, it doesn't matter what squad they put out. They should be good enough to beat AZ. But if the players aren't up for it, you can have Romero, Van de Ven, you can have Son, you can have Brennan Johnson, Solanke, you can have the strongest squad we've put out so far this season, and we still lose. And that's it.
So prediction, Deji.
Look, I'm going to give you my head and my heart, if that's all right.
Go on.
My heart obviously wants the Spurs win, and I don't know why. My head says we don't actually get a result against AZ. I actually don't.
You really think we're going to lose?
I don't think we'll lose. I just don't think we'll win.
Can you imagine, guys? If we don't win that game, all hell is going to break loose.
We're not winning that game.
Can you imagine the reaction? It's going to go crazy.
I know you put up stats earlier. We had no shots against AZ at
Yeah.
their ground. But for all intents and purposes, screw the stats. We didn't have a proper chance on goal against Bournemouth. We didn't. I don't care what the stats say. I don't remember. I mean, a
You're
couple
right.
of people said we hit the post. We did not. So so it's
Bergwall
very
hit the post with a
possible-
shot. He did. He hit the post with a shot.
It was a soft one. I don't see Spurs winning.
That's crazy,
I
man.
think
That's
we draw.
madness.
I think we draw.
What, at home with the crowd and bloody hell, what's on the line? These
we
players
draw.
are not going to stand
We
up.
almost got popped 5-2 by Bournemouth.
No, I know, but this is all we have left, Deji. These
No,
players, this is
don't worry
all
about
they
that.
have left for the season. If they don't turn up, basically they've ended it. They've ended it for the fans. They've ended it for themselves. They've
And-
ended it if they don't show up.
And if they were serious, they would have got the job done last week.
No, I think they were I just think last week they were just strolling around thinking they could just win the game in the home tie. I just think their attitudes is off, completely off.
I think the attitude was off, but I'm not being funny. Like, one of the reasons why I thought we could finish top 3 was that under Postecoglou, and that's where I came up with that saying, domination in the location. Because we would dominate games and create chance after chance after chance and maybe lose. If you remember the Newcastle game at the beginning of the season, we played them off the park. If you remember the home tie against Arsenal, since then, I've not seen domination in the location.
When's the last time we played well? Actually played well in a match.
That's what I'm saying. We struggle to create chances now. And that's why I don't think we get a result against AZ. I think I'm going to the stadium on Thursday to watch a 0-0 or 1-1 draw.
Nige?
I mean, I'm in exactly the same boat. I think my concern is with Spurs. We're a goal down, so Alkmaar have something to defend. They will play in a low block and try and catch us on the counter attack, which every team does anyway. And have you seen the way we've been playing? The way we've been starting games? We don't get going a lot of the time till the second half. My concern is if we're already 1-0 down. If we don't score in the first 20 minutes, it's going to get nasty in that stadium.
Edgy.
It's going to get
Very
tense.
edgy.
It's going to get edgy. And we have to score early to stand a chance. I've got a feeling they might score first and we might get a 1-1 draw and just fail to get a second goal.
Guys, now, I'm talking to you two and I'm trying to say, look, we're going to do it. I don't believe it. I don't believe it myself. I'm just trying to put the questions out there because, I'm the host tonight. Yeah. So that's what I'm doing. Trying to question you guys to see if there's any way we can win. Of course we can win this game. Player quality wise, yes. Yeah. It only takes a couple of them to have a good game. Madison, Solanke, someone to be on it. Put a couple of goals away. But do I believe we're going to perform well? No, I don't, because there's no evidence that we've been playing well. The only thing that will get us over the line is the crowd, pushing the team, maybe get a bit lucky, might get a lucky penalty or something like we did against Bournemouth. And then once we get a goal, then the tails will be up and we should be able to get it over the line against AZ. They're not a great side. They're really not. They're average, aren't they, really, AZ? So, guys, let's go to the chat.
Against them last time.
We're not a great side.
We're not. We're crap. We're crap under Ange. Let's be real. We're rubbish. We're rubbish. But as fans, you have to look. It's going to be mayhem if we get knocked out. It's going to be absolute mayhem. Can you imagine the scenes if we get knocked out of that game, guys? Yeah. I don't know what's going to happen, man. Deji, what's going to happen?
Do you think there will be scenes?
There will. The fans.
I think for the first time there will be cups, bottles thrown at Daniel Levy and Postecoglou. It's going to be nasty. But the truth of the matter is, I will say to you, why did we wait? And then the problem is now Daniel Levy now is damned if he does, he's damned if he doesn't now, because I will be saying, we told you before Christmas, get rid of this guy. Why did we wait when we knew what was round the corner? So for me, the one thing I will say, Dan and Nige, is it's a countdown. I can't wait until Thursday because I actually just want to get this over and done with, to be honest with you. I just want to know if we're in or out. Do you know what I mean? Let's get this over and done with. And if we have to light up Tottenham if we're right, then let it be done because I don't give a damn no more. But the speculation is killing me. We know what's going to happen on Thursday. You all know. So if you're going to be pissed off, make sure you have a good day. Yeah, make sure you eat and have fun during the day because you are going to bed livid Thursday night.
Wow. So you're calling it, Deji. You're calling a loss or
I've called a 1-1 draw, mate. I've called a draw. Mate, I've called or we win and it goes to pens. But we're not winning. We're not winning 2-0. Don't get that.
The trouble is, guys, this is even if we do go through, who believes we're going to get through the next round when the level steps up?
And this is why I'm at that point where, like, I just don't care.
Don't care anymore.
If we win, brilliant. Yeah, okay, we're going to go out next round anyway. And if we lose, then brilliant because Ange hopefully gets a sack. And that's so bad saying as a Spurs fan because I want to win every game. But I'm at that point where it doesn't really matter. And then we've got Fulham and Chelsea away next 2 league games. So it gets better.
Yeah, lovely.
Oh, guys, we're supposed to talk about, I don't know how long you got, Deji. How long we got with you? You on to anything else tonight?
Yeah, I got about 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Give us your little thoughts on Fulham, and then me and Nigel take over and get.
Is Fulham our next home game? Is our next game away? Yeah.
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 Sunday.
Away Sunday. Yeah.
We get whacked, mate. We get whacked. Fulham at home. You've seen them beat Arsenal at home.
Let me get their results up for you guys. Let me tell you what they've been doing.
We're not doing anything. We're not doing anything against Fulham. That's 15 L's coming through. 15.
Let me take that down. Let me get that back up.
In fact, between now and the end of the season, Spurs, I can only see us. Tottenham don't get 40 points this season. We won't get 40 points. The only points that I can see us getting is against Southampton at home. All other games, I expect us to lose. That's it.
Insane.
We're not beating Forest. We're not beating Fulham. We're not beating Crystal Palace. We're not beating Chelsea. Come on. We're not beating Wolves. Come on, guys. Come on.
Liverpool. Yeah,
we're not beating Liverpool. What are we doing? Have we got Villa again still?
Yeah.
We've got Villa as well. Yeah, come on. Southampton's the only game I see us getting 3 points. I'll be surprised if we get 40. We're not getting relegated because the bottom 3 are so poor. But I'd be surprised if we hit 40 points.
Effectively, after Fulham, we could be 16th.
Yeah.
So let's just focus on that Fulham game. I know we're kind of going all over the shop. Look, we lost last season there 3-0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
we
know.
drew 1-0 this season and we were peppered. We were lucky to get the bloody draw. Let's be honest.
Outplayed.
Mate, let's be honest, mate. That's not getting twisted. Eugene knows. Eugene is not expecting any more.
Evening, Eugene. How are you, man? Been busy in the chat tonight.
As always.
We got Eugene.
We got buddy.
Rich is right. Rich says, I think we finished 16th. I agree with Rich. We will finish below West Ham. Oh, by the way, I also think we'll get beat by West Ham. Southampton is the only points we get.
Mate, it's a misery, man. You just need to end the season, man. It's like I said last Thursday, just lose every game, get knocked out of the Europa League, it's done. I can't deal with it anymore. I can't deal with this season anymore, but I go to bed, I sleep on it, I get the energy back. I've got so much to say, man. I'm not finished yet, man. I've got to see this through, man. I need to see what's going to happen on Thursday. I want Ange gone. This is the focus. If we're out, Ange's got to go. He's got to go. But even if he goes, it looks like Mason, doesn't it? So it's just misery. That's why I might as well just end the season. Fast forward to the summer. get to the protest on the 6th. That's what we're looking forward to now. The protest. That's the day. Get down there and get behind everyone and challenge this board, man, because this season is a disgrace.
Yeah.
Absolutely disgrace.
Draven says he hoped that we were going to cheer him up. I think what we've done is we've told you what's going to happen.
Big up, Draven.
If you're not shocked by the result, then you don't feel as bad, innit? So what we've done is we've just prepared you. Like, I won't be upset on Thursday, just so you know, because I'd be like, well, we kind of knew. You can't be upset when you knew what was going to happen. You're only upset when they don't deliver. But I'm expecting Spurs to do nothing, so that you should take solace in that and enjoy the game. You've been prepared, and
you're going to wear a black suit on Thursday, Deji?
Mate, yeah. I'll probably look. I've not worn my Spurs shirt since October or November, and I think I won't be buying any more Spurs jerseys anymore. What's the point? I wear black now as a sign of mourning for my club. So yeah, I will be in black, and I will be until we get our Spurs back.
Fair enough. I'll get you, man. Deji, man, I've never seen you this low, man. This season for you, man. Whoa.
Yeah, I said it to Eugene. Me and Eugene, we were talking last week. I haven't changed. I love my club. I still have a chest for my club, but I can only call what I see. If I genuinely believe, people call me delusional. It's not delusion. If a manager finishes 5th, you expect the manager to improve. Iriola took Bournemouth. I don't know where they finished last season. He's improved on that already. That's what managers do. So if you finish 5th, and I say Spurs are going to finish 4th or 3rd, that's not unrealistic, because if you're a good manager, that's what you do. Yeah? But I have seen what you guys have seen, and what I saw is that this guy is really out of his depth. That's why he doesn't say anything while the game is going on, because he doesn't know what to say. So he has to wait, process it, and try and say it to them at half time. And I just know he's just gambling. We've won by luck. Doesn't mean he's a good manager. And so for that reason, and for that reason alone, I can't be positive. I would love to be pleasantly surprised, but judging on the results this year, I don't think I will be. Sorry,
Eugene, what have you got to say or add? You've been talking in the chat. I haven't responded to what you said. I've just been doing the show, man. Is there anything particular I've said that you wanted to discuss, or Nige or Deji, or anything that you thought, oh, I'm not sure about that, I want to question it?
No, I mean, honestly, as I actually feel better now than before, given my expectations I have no expectations at this point. As Naj said, as Deja said, I'm just ready for the season to be over. I feel like I felt under Stellini and Mason in the past. I think the season is done. I think on Thursday we'll get a 1-1 draw, probably, or 0-0. Just, we can't score. We're toothless. Just let the season be over, and and we go again. But yeah, it's
Eugene, why is that attack not functioning, man? Why is that attack not functioning? Because it did used to function to a point, even though it was still not great. And we have scored a lot of goals. What are we seeing now? Why is it not working at all?
So that's what I was trying to figure out, and Dej and I talked about it a bit. So, as you well know, I was engine for a long time. So in the beginning of the season and last season, I saw that we dominated games. We just couldn't put away our chances. So what I was saying is, look, I can see that we're in positions to score, just players cannot execute. But for the past few months, even we're not even in positions to score anymore. So to me, it makes no sense. We're 2 years into what Ange is trying to do. Not only is our defensive shape poor, we're not improving, but now we can't score anymore. And on Thursday, Like for me, that was the most shocking performance I've seen in years. It's like it was like a pickup game. It's like 11 players who have never played with each other before were in that pitch. And to me, it makes no sense why 2 years in we we can't even, there are no patterns of play. We're not even in positions anymore. And to me, that's on edge, right? So again, like if we're in position, players don't execute, it's on them. And I'm trying to be balanced. And like I always argue with people because I don't like extremes, right? It's always about, there's always a balance. But now I'm seeing the players are not even in positions to score and to execute. And to me, that has to be on edge.
Yeah, 100%. I'm with you in that.
Right, Deji, I think you're off, mate, aren't you? You've got to shoot, yeah? So let's say thank you for coming on, man. Please, people, if you haven't subscribed, go and subscribe to Deji. Yeah, man, final thoughts, Deji, on the night?
Yeah, look, with all the doom and gloom that we've had tonight, and thanks, Dan, for having me. It's been a pleasure. Nigel, it's good to see you again. And Eugene, good to see you again.
Big up, Edge.
Let's not get it twisted. I would love for Spurs to win the Europa League, and somehow I would love for Ange to do it and to somehow turn it round. If he was, he deserved, by our low standards, he will be in charge at the beginning of the season. And if he kicks on and is able to get us in the top 3 next season, then, I'm happy to hold my hands up and say, you know what, we had to ride the storm and here we are and we're in a respectable position. I would love that if that's how the story is going to go next. However, I can't see it. I can't lie to you. And for me, I'm at the point where the sooner we overcome this misery, the better. Because at least we know where we stand. So that's where I am. I hope to be pleasantly surprised, but I'm not going to hold my breath. And on that note, enjoy the rest of the show.
Cheers, Deji, mate.
Take care,
Take
buddy.
care of yourself.
Yes, guys. Thank you.
Well, yeah, it's tough, guys. It's so tough, isn't it? When you get into it all throughout the show, when we cover everything, it always ends up talking on a kind of sour note because the season has been shit. We have got no confidence in our team. We've got a big game and we should be, as fans, looking forward to it, potentially getting into the quarterfinals. But we've watched this team. We've seen this team decline week in, week out. We've got players back now. There's options Ange has got. Yes, Ange will say they're not fully fit. Yes, they've been missing. Yes, they're not a cohesive team. We've heard him say it. He said it the other week, didn't he? The other day, that this team are not used to playing each other. It's just excuse after excuse after excuse. I know we kind of moved on from that AZ game, but because Eugene's come on. Eugene, is there any hope from you that you will see any kind of performance, or are we only going to get through via luck?
It was funny. We had a week off before the Thursday's game, so I forgot just how bad we were. So I was actually, my hopes were pretty high. I thought we're going to win the game. But as I said, it was the most shocking performance I've seen in years. So I just have no expectations. I think it's going to be a draw. It's just we're out of ideas. And, I've always been saying, even if the tactics are bad, which they are, the players should have enough pride. They should play for each other in the badge to give us some effort. And outside of a couple of players, Spence, Danso, and Bergval, and Vic, I just don't see that effort. I don't see players just running through the walls for the badge. Forget Ange, forget even defense, right? For the badge. And that for me is the biggest issue. And the second issue, we don't have any game changers on the team. Again, like if you look at Palmer last season at Chelsea, or if you look at Ez and Palace, on poor teams, there is usually one game changer. When the game is in the balance, that player is going to be, I'm going to take that game. I'll take the responsibility on myself to score. We don't have any of those game changers. And as Naj knows, I rag on Madison all the time, because in my mind, when we signed him, he was that game changer. And I'm just not seeing it from him. And Son, he's past his, peak. So it's just, we're out of ideas tactically. The players are downing tools, it seems like, and we have no elite players or game changers to actually, take advantage of a given the moment and give us some brilliance. So I think
What, Eugene? What if
we're done.
Madison gets us through on Thursday? Is it going to change your opinion on
Hey,
him?
I hope so. Again, I support all the players. It's just my expectations for Madison were really high. Same thing for Romero, and now I just want Romero gone as well. It's not working with Madison. I hope he scores, and he is one of our few players who can do something. I just don't see it consistently. That's my issue. He turns up once every few games, but when we do need him, he just floats. And I just want him to be that guy, to take the ball and to say, you know what, I'm gonna do it. Everybody else is not doing it. It's gonna be on me. And
The problem is, Eugene, I'm really struggling to judge any of these players this season due to the manager. That's my biggest problem.
Yeah.
We can name so many who have underperformed in the team. Most of them have. And is that down to the manager? Is it down to the player? I'd love to see Madison under a different coach and see what he can do. Many of these players under a different coach. Yeah, that's what I want to see. So I'm not giving them the whole team a pass, but I mean, the Ange system, tactics, motivation, whatever is just so awful. Let's say hello to Mark. Mark, big up, Mark. Thanks for jumping on, mate. How are you?
Well, you were I could see you were struggling, so I did offer to come on, but I mean, let's face it, this manager's a fool. He's inept, completely out of his depth, shouldn't be here in the first place, and he ain't got a clue. He ain't got the fuck. Right. I'm definitely the oldest here. I'll tell you now, in my 54 years of supporting this club, he's the worst manager I've ever seen. And I saw us get relegated. He's the worst manager I've seen. He ain't got a clue. He ain't got the foggiest what's going on. With him, it's square pegs and round holes all the time. He never plays any of our players to their strengths. As I've said on this channel, our channel, all the channels, Son is not a winger. He never has been, never will be. Johnson is not a winger. He never has been, never will be. Both of them are inside forwards. Both of them. That's what they are. They're not wingers. Right? He ain't got a clue. Right? Archie Gray's done all right in defence. But he's not a defender. What's going on here? He's got his way of playing. It's like, I think Ben said it when he was on. Right, now a good manager comes into a team, see what tools he's got, and tries to utilise them to get the best out of them, what you got. This fool has got one way of playing, and only one, because we ain't even got plan B. He's got one way of playing, and he tries to shoehorn the players into playing his system. He's an absolute fool. He's the worst manager I've ever seen. And the sooner he leaves and half of this delirious fan base goes with him, all the Ange lovers that think he's the next Messiah, the better. And that's it. And that is it. Because...
that was an entrance, Mark.
Well, but it's the truth, Nigel. It's the truth. I'm not sugarcoating around it no more. He's the worst manager I've seen. By a long, long, long way. And the trouble is, he drags all these fanboys in, and they're not Tottenham fans, all these people that constantly defend him. They're not. How can you be when we're 13th in the league? We're 13th in the bloody league, and there's people defending him.
Evening all.
Half the bloody ground when we're 5-1 down at home to Liverpool, they're still singing the fool's name. He's the worst manager I have seen by a long way. Right, I've seen some crap Tottenham teams over my time supporting this club. Right, but the one thing I can say, I went a lot in the 90s. I was at White Hart Lane a lot in the 90s, right? After 91, when we won that, sort of between 91 and 99, we were terrible in that in them days. You know, we had some mediocre teams, but I can guarantee you that that team that was on the pitch gave 100% every game. 100%.
Mark, I just want to say hello to Corey. Thanks, Corey, for jumping on. I've got to pop off for a couple of minutes, so Nigel, please take over. Mark, can you let everybody know, the panel, people in the chat, your thoughts on Thursday and expectations? And then I'll be back in a sec.
All right, no worries, man. Right.
I'll add to something you said there, though, Mark.
Hang on a minute. He asked me.
Yeah, I just want to add something to that, because in the 90s, we nearly didn't have a club to support. So the 90s was bad, but we nearly didn't have a club to support because we nearly went out of business.
Well, that's immaterial. That's immaterial whether we nearly had a club or not. But the club was rubbish. We had poor players. We had the odd good one, Ginolas and that. But, but the team gave 100%. And we had managers that would utilise the players we had in the best way possible. Right, we never had the best players, but they would. This fool don't do none of it. He's the worst manager I've seen in my time supporting this club. And the sooner he's gone, the better. Right now, on to Thursday. Surely we should go through it at home. But I don't trust him. I don't trust him. I don't trust the team. Personally, I think half the team have stopped playing for him.
Yeah,
I think they've given up. I think they've given up because they know his tactics are just worthless. He's only got one way of playing, and when that don't work, there's no plan B. There's no plan B. There's no anything. Right?
And AZ game, man, when Maddison
hang on,
talking.
Right now, right. It's just, personally, I just think the players have had enough and they want him out.
Yeah.
I won't be surprised if half of them ain't gone and knocked on Levy's door. But the trouble is, a lot of them is young and that, and they won't. If we still have players it's like Ben said when he was on it. If Harry Kane was there, he'd have been knocking on his door. Get this fool gone.
That's what they always do, Mark. That's the issue, like the players that should have.
But that's correct. But that's correct. If the manager is so blatantly bad,
well, maybe that has happened, Mark, because obviously Maddison is part of that leadership team.
Yeah,
he's in and out of the side. Dropped again at the weekend. I mean, people say he was rested, but
rested.
I don't know. What do you think, Corey, about Thursday?
I've honestly. I love my club, but I'm not in love with it anymore. I've lost the will to try and watch this team at the moment, especially under Ange. Our best chances were with, obviously, just after Poch left, we had Conte and Jose, and I was like on board for both of those managerial appointments. And then since then, I've really, really just given up hope. I support my club because it's in my blood because of my family, but to support this team, players and the ownership, I just can't do it at the moment. It's heartbreaking.
See, this is where you're wrong again, because the best chance we had was under Poch, not Conte or Mourinho. The best chance we had was under Poch. And Levy let him down. And Levy let him down.
But then who doesn't Levy let down, Mark? He lets down every manager, brings them in, doesn't really give them money to spend, and then uses them as a scapegoat towards the end. It's the same rinse, recycle, repeat with each manager.
Well, he's not doing it with this. He's not doing it with this. As far as I know, as far as I understand, he's took the criticism on board. As you see on my shirt, 24 years, 16 managers and all that stuff. He's took that criticism on board, but he's just happened to pick the worst manager we've had in the whole of his tenure, and he's sticking with him. It's mystifying. It's mystifying. But then again, as I've said, probably on this channel, certainly on my channel, the money that comes from football is not important anymore. With all the rest of the nonsense that goes on out there, football is not important anymore.
Yeah, it isn't. We're just Tottenham by name. We're not Tottenham by club anymore, are we? We knocked down our old beautiful stadium because apparently we needed to move to a new stadium to compete with the big boys. This stadium
we
was
did.
going to be changing. Yeah, I know. It was meant to be game changing, wasn't it? And nothing's really changed. Nothing's really changed. It's still the same dross and crap we've had for the last 20 odd years.
In fact, if anything, over, give or take 2 years under Poch is we've gone backwards, haven't we? Especially since being in the new stadium.
Yeah,
at least we signed top players in the old stadium.
And the thing is, the old stadium had the noise and the atmosphere. I mean, I was every weekend with my granddad growing up as a kid, going to the lane, traveling to away games with my granddad and my uncle, my cousin, we were going everywhere. But like, since the new stadium's been built, I haven't been in, and I have literally been Levy out since the day Martin Yole was let go, I've not put a penny into this club. That's my way of protest and support for how I feel. I just won't give this bloke any of my money because he's serving us up a product that isn't worthy or fit for purpose for me to want to spend money on. I'd rather go and spend money on my local club at Whitehawk, even though I live in Brighton, but I go down and watch a Whitehawk match once a week, £5 to get in, pub right there, is hardly ever crowded. You can have a laugh with about the 20 to 30 people that show up each week, So it just makes you laugh.
So what happens if we, let's just talk about Thursday, what happens if we, so 2 questions in one really, what happens if we win Thursday? Do you still want Ange out? Do you guys still want Ange out? What happens if we lose Thursday? Is it just he has to go, or do we wait till the end of the season?
Well, put it this way: if we lose, I'm setting up a stream immediately, and we're going to do another one of them calling things.
Yeah, I've been Ange out since day one. I didn't want him here day one. I did my research on the managers that we had lined up, the first 5, and I went through them all. And there's probably 2 on that list I would have taken out the first 5. Nagelsmann being obviously the clear favourite for everybody back then. The guy has a track record of winning things with the top teams in shit leagues. When you've got the Scottish League ranked lower than the MLS, when the MLS is like a part-time league and where people go to retire, makes you laugh, doesn't it? And then you try to bring those tactics to the Premier League, one of the top 5 leagues in the world, and you think you can get away with that week in, week out with no backup plan, no contingency, no real understanding of how your tactics work, and yet you stand there on the sidelines every week with your hands in your pockets. Like, I've never hated a manager more for crap body language than I've hated Ange. So, yeah, we're losing. I'm just going to sit here, put my hands in my pockets. Something might happen. Make a substitute in the 88th minute. What's the point? I just don't get it. I'm done with this manager in this club right now. I love my club. I'll support my club, but I don't support the players or the manager or this regime.
Mark, Eugene, how do you feel?
I mean, if we lose on Thursday, it doesn't matter if Ange stays and goes. Ultimately, he's not good enough either way at this point. Even if we do win on Thursday, we're going to lose in a week. I just don't see us beating any decent Europa side, unfortunately. And like I said, I've been, defending Ange until, a month ago or 2.
We were obviously blind. That's all I got to say.
Yeah. So if he doesn't win, if he loses, him or Mason, it doesn't matter. He's gone end of the season or beginning of the next season. If he wins, it doesn't matter either. Because again, as I said, I don't see us winning. So
Eugene, how does this play out, mate? How does this play out in the summer? What does it look like for you?
I mean, he has to go, but I don't see us getting the manager that the club needs. Like in the past 2, 3, 4 years, we never get our first choice, even in the summer. We never get, post Conte, who was desperate, who said no to us first, and then he came for the money. We don't seem to get any managers with any ambition or any options, and I don't see that changing. Whether it's Iriola, who I think is overhyped, but Areola or anybody else,
Not
anybody with
overhyped,
option,
dude.
is not going to come here.
Iriola is not overhyped. He knows how his tactics
Based on
work.
what, though?
You
But
can
look,
see it week in, week out with his team. He adapts to what is going on. He knows his system better, and he gets the best out of the players. And
but
he's
Corey,
standing around with his
with
hands in
Graham
his
Potter,
pocket.
with Graham Potter, like being a
And he's
good
done it
coach
with 10
is not enough.
injuries, just like we have. You classing one guy in one season with Bournemouth to a guy that's been in tin pot leagues and done sod all, apart
But
from win tin
but
pot leagues.
if we're saying, and I'm saying it as well, that most of the injuries are on Ange. It's the way we play.
Oh,
It's the
yeah.
way we train. So are all their injuries on him? Because they do play high line. They do play similar style of football. They don't
Yeah,
invert the
but they're
fullbacks,
also well
obviously.
drilled, Eugene. That's what you're not getting. Like the whole idea of Areola's tactics is there are ways of playing this system compared to not playing it at all. You sit there
I
and
could be
shoot your
wrong.
head all you
Again,
want.
I'm not.
No, it's not wrong. It's fact. It's black and white in football. There's no grey middle part. Black and
I don't
white in
think it's black and
football is
white,
very
Corey.
simple. When you train your players right and coach them right, they understand the system. You can't just come in, rip a core of players out and go, right, we don't need these leaders or these guys anymore. And they might be shit and you're like your Eric Dyers and your the players that were let go. All right, Eric Dyer wasn't the greatest, but even he come out and called out this manager saying he doesn't coach the team right. How many more players have got to come out and say this?
I'm not listening to Eric Dyer. Sorry, he couldn't even.
Eugene, what is the issue
do-
with Areola for you?
Oh no, I have
What
no
what
issue.
is-
I'm just saying that everybody like suddenly are hyping him up like he's done something in his career. He could be a good coach, but as we saw with Graham Potter, De Zerbi, there are a lot of coaches, good coaches, who did really well for mid-table clubs, but when they make this jump up, including Poch after us, but when they start managing a top four side that we're supposed to be, it's a different animal. It's not just coaching at that point.
Poch done all right though, didn't he?
Take it
Poch
from
done all
someone
right,
that lives
Eugene.
in Brighton under De Zerbi. Yes, Brighton were doing well, but he insulted the fans a lot, and that's another reason why he left. He insulted the Brighton fans. I live 10 minutes from the stadium. The way he was insulting fans week in, week out, not understanding how things work. That's another reason why he left. Potter, another very good manager Brighton had, but he had ambitions and was let down by Chelsea, by the top clubs, because
That's
they
an
didn't
excuse,
see
Corey.
his
But you
vision.
can't say that, right? Like, let's be fair. But again, I could be wrong. But tell me, and maybe that's just my lack of knowledge. But outside of Poch, who give me a couple of mid-table managers who actually succeeded at top clubs and actually won big honors. I'm not talking about like an FA Cup here or there, but actually led their top teams to challenging. I'm
I'll
not
give
sure
you one straight
if you
away.
remember.
I'll give you one straight away.
I think it's the name I'm thinking of. Go on, Mark.
Sir Alex Ferguson.
Well,
He come from
yeah,
bloody
okay,
Aberdeen,
but
man.
since then, I mean, that's a
No,
different
History speaks for
animal.
itself.
that was
How
your
many
question.
years?
Who come
Mark,
from an
Eugene
Aberdeen?
did
Sure, how many
say
years did he fail?
Oh, hang on.
United.
Arsene
Here
Wenger.
we go.
He came from France,
Okay.
Japan.
And so the
He came
goalposts
over
are
from
changing now,
nowhere and made
Eugene.
Arsenal what they
And so the
were.
goalposts.
but
And so
Mark,
you asked me to name
that's
one, and
fair.
I named the greatest manager there's ever been, arguably.
But how
Mark,
many seasons did it take him to win at United? Again, you're right. But I
Well,
think
there we go.
times right now are different.
That's it. It's done.
It's like
Done.
what I just said, Mark. Arsene Wenger, Japan,
Well,
France,
exactly.
England.
guys, can you
Exactly.
wait? Can I speak, guys? Eugene
Yeah.
did say before he
From mid-table clubs.
asked that question. He did say because of my knowledge, right? Yeah. So give him
Well,
a
we
little
answered.
pass
No,
on
no,
that.
but hold on. But
Or
no,
do
obviously,
you want,
but
or do
again,
you want another
how many
example
years?
of a team turned around under a new manager? Let's look at Frank at Brentford. That
Okay.
guy's turned it
But it's
around.
not a top
plenty.
club. I'm
They're
talking
a
about
team challenging.
expectations. Expectations for a top four club are different. Again, yeah, Ferguson for sure. Wenger came from Europe. Ferguson came from Scotland, and how many years did it take him to turn around United? And the times were different too. Now every
First
team has
season,
money.
Alex
Every
nearly
team has a
got
scouting
sacked. Yeah,
team.
I get that.
So
What
I could
saved
be
Alex
wrong.
Ferguson in England is winning the cup. Simple. And then from there, everything's history. Was it 15 Premier League titles that bloke won, or 13? Or can't
How
remember
many
the
years
exact
did
stats.
it take him to win
2
the first one?
European Cups, 9 FA Cups, 6 League Cups, 4 Charity Shields. How many European Super Cups did he win? after winning the Champions League. One. That
But that's not
manager
here nor
came
there.
from
Again, how many
obscurity
years did
into
it take
winning
him to
stuff.
win his first trophy?
2 years. No, a
Ferguson?
year actually. He came in,
Ferguson?
won the FA Cup. If he didn't win the FA Cup that year, he was going to get sacked. So in this very first season at United, at the back end of a very bad season, Alex Ferguson won the FA Cup, saved his career. The rest is history. And Alex Ferguson's career went like this. Arsene Wenger came from Japan to France to England, took over our bitter rivals and made them really what they are. There's not many managers that have come out from outside and gone, bang, right, this is my ethos, this is my way of training. You're going to understand it or you can leave.
So nobody in the
And
last
just come
20
in.
years. Okay.
And just
That's
come
fine.
in.
That's fair.
From the back end of Scotland, you could go to Celtic at like Eugene and manage Celtic to a cup win. It's not fucking hard.
No, and by the way, I'm not saying that Areola is not good. I'm saying is he could be a good manager, but I'm just saying is we're hyping up like our players
To
and
be a
managers.
good manager, you need to be a good coach as well. You can't be one or the other. You need to be both. You need to be a Pep type. I'm going to be a manager, but I'm also a coach.
Okay, so Eugene, being realistic under Levy, what's going to happen?
I have no.
I know it's not good enough. I know you're thinking it's not good enough, and we need to get the top coach out there, back in with the top players.
We don't need a top
It's not going to
coach.
happen. But no, this is what Eugene. I think this is what
that's my
Eugene's
issue.
trying to get
Dan,
to.
that's my issue. I
Yeah,
feel
so
like
just explain more. Who would you have in?
again, I'm not gonna lie and say like I know that's the problem. Like I don't think we'll get our first, second, or third choice. We never do.
But who's
In
the
the
first
perfect world,
choice, Eugene? For
in the
you?
perfect world, I would want somebody with the track record of winning trophies, whether it's here or in Europe, like Jose and Conte. As Corey said, when they came on, I was excited. I'm like, okay, these guys, they won. I know for a fact they can win. Iriola, Frank, they could be very good managers. I just don't know. I haven't seen them win trophies. So for the club of
You
our
don't need
size,
to really win
I-
trophies to be classed a top manager. There's so many managers out there that can coach and manage and are very strong in their beliefs, not to be classed a elite manager because they haven't won a trophy yet. You take Frank out of Brentford and put him in a Real Madrid or a Barcelona or a Man U or a Man City, they're going to change like that and they're going to win all the time.
I
A good manager and he's a good
I don't think
coach.
so.
You've got to have one or the other. You've got to have both in one person. A Pep type
But
puts his arms around the players when they're doing shit and has a chat with them. Man stands around with his hands in his pockets looking at the sky.
Look
But
at
Corey,
this comment,
manager.
guys. Totten Pocho, evening to you. Angie's averse to playing youth. So was
Yeah.
Mourinho and Conte. We need a manager that enjoys bringing
I agree.
players through. Maybe Areola. Also, how?
Right.
Fair?
Do you know? Do you
just go-
know? Right.
okay, go
Right.
ahead.
If I can take this, right?
Yeah.
Do you honestly think that if Tottenham go to Bournemouth and try and get Areola, that he's not going to come? With the stuff we got at the stadium, with the shiny £1 billion stadium, right? With the training facilities, that's the best in the world, country, whatever, with all the stuff that we got. And he's at basically, I'm not being disrespectful, but a championship ground at Bournemouth, and that's all they got, I mean, their changing rooms are probably port cabins. You know what I mean? It's the sort of club they are, but they've just done miraculously well to be where they are, right? If he's on £1 million a year at Bournemouth. If we offered him the same as bloody this fool's on, 5 million, he'd jump at the chance. A top.
If he has no other options, he will. If he has other options, then he won't. It all depends on who else is going for him.
Hello,
That's why
Angus.
Spurs have to get in there quickly.
No, but hang on a minute. Conte said no to start with until we started wafting money up, until we wafted 15 million reasons for him to come every year. You know what I mean? It's like, if you're telling me that we can't get a top manager if we want him, you honestly don't know the club. You honestly don't know the club.
Though, have we not become
we can afford anything we like. Whether Levy chooses to spend that money is two different matters. But we can afford anything we like. We're one of the richest clubs. Well, we are the richest club, I think, in the Premier League. We certainly got the highest income. Certainly, until Man United built their new
the
£1 billion stadium.
100,000-seater stadium, Jesus.
Yeah, but the stuff we got is incredible. And so if we went, and we'll put it this way, hopefully, well, I won't say hopefully because I never say I hope we lose. But if we go out Thursday night and should be sacked immediately. No, hang on. Just to answer Angus in the thing, you ain't richer than Newcastle. We're not. Levy and Enoch ain't richer than Newcastle, but our income is tenfold what theirs is.
We can spend more money than Newcastle by far.
Oh yeah. Just by the revenue.
Right. And
just by the revenue we generate, right? And so if you're telling me that we can't go to Bournemouth and get Areola if we wanted him, that's absolute nonsense.
Absolutely. I agree with what Ben said there. We are asset rich, not money rich.
Yep.
Well, we're still money rich as well because bloody Enoch and that, they ain't short of a bubble too. Let's put it that way.
If not short of a bubble too, why are they trying to get investors in to build their nice shiny hotel then?
You've just answered your own question. You've literally answered your own question.
But then why
are they trying to get investors in to build their shiny hotel? That's why they want the investors in. There's nothing to do with football.
If they've got this money, they should be able to fork it out for themselves now. They built this stadium.
Well, they obviously can't because they're still in debt with the stadium. But Levy is that
they're not in debt with the stadium, man.
Well, who is
that? Tottenham Hotspur are in debt with it. They just sit there paying it off for us out of money we make.
But Levy is that clever that he got it on such a well-structured payment scheme.
27 million a year or something like that.
But Mark, when we wanted Arne Slot 2 years ago, I don't believe he didn't come here because of the money. He didn't come here because he knew he's going to have more options in a year or two. So that's kind of my point, right? If the money, even if we pay more, managers who think in a year or two, bigger clubs will come in for them. Why risk their reputation to come to Spurs? So like Arne Slot and Nagelsmann and others. So even if Levy says, I'm going to pay you 5-6 million, if Areola or Frank or anybody or anyone else think in a year or two we're going to have better options, they're going to stay. That's just my opinion. I hope I'm wrong, but maybe. And then just last thing on what we were talking about, coaches versus managers. We can all agree that Pochettino was a great coach. I think there's no doubt. But as we saw when he went to PSG and Chelsea, he didn't succeed because at big clubs,
he won the league at PSG, man.
Coaching.
He won the league there.
Yeah.
What's that?
He won the league for PSG.
And he lost. It's tougher to lose a league with PSG than to win a league. I'm just saying, right, like managing egos, there's all this other stuff involved.
I mean, the PSG thing, he had so many good players, didn't he? He had Messi. Remember that forward line he had, and he couldn't get it over the line. I just think it was a massive change from going from Spurs to them with managing all those star players. I just think he did not done that before. So
he had too many star players and egos to deal with, really, didn't he?
I was going to say, the thing is with PSG is there was a lot of egos there.
Well, Chelsea,
there was a lot of massive, big egos.
And Chelsea was a mess. Chelsea was a mess. Chelsea, guys, that job he took there over there.
Put it this way, right? Put it this way, right? Poch went to Chelsea, and when they sacked him, the fruits of his labour were coming to fruition because Chelsea had picked up a hell of a lot, and they got rid of him.
Do you remember why he left Chelsea job? Because he didn't have control over the.
That's right. It was something to do with the transfers, wasn't it?
He didn't want to make the same mistake like he did at Spurs.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Like I said, I hope I'm wrong. I hope we're going to attract a manager, manager or a coach who can actually coach the youngsters. That I agree with. Given that
did you give names, Eugene? Did you give names? I can't remember. Did you give any names? I can't remember.
Honestly, again, I'm not going to make things up. I don't. I'm not sure. I don't know.
Okay. No worries, man. If anything comes to mind, just let us know. Corey,
I'm not going to say Zidane or Xavi. Right? Those managers are not coming here, so it needs to be an up and coming manager who has some success in the league that he's in. And like Amorim would be my choice last season, but we see even Amorim, he was very, highly rated, and he's struggling right now at Man U. And I would have killed for Amorim. So it all depends on the situations, on the on the board, on the players. And Amorim, he might get sacked at United. You never know. So it's not as simple as saying the guy's a good coach, he'll succeed. There are a lot of other issues at hand.
Corey, what do you want to happen in the summer, man? Who do you want to bring in? Where do you want the club to go?
If I'm blatantly honest with this, get rid of the manager, get rid of his backroom staff, look for a new fitness team, better scouting network, and then we need a manager / coach. Like I said, you need a mixture of both to be good at it. You need someone like your Franks, your De Zerbis, even though he's in Italy. You need someone like Iriola, someone that is up and coming, someone that is exciting to watch, knows how his tactics work, and gets the best out of his players. I'm fed up of seeing piss poor managers come into our team. We are literally a graveyard of managers now. We really are under this ownership. And you look at the managers past, there's been some really terrible ones in there, but this one just takes the biscuit.
Oh dear, happy days, eh? And Mark, did you tell us what you wanted?
No, right. Right, for a start, to say that we're a graveyard of managers is untrue, because you look at Conte and Mourinho, two of the best managers still in the world. Still in the world. Well, is Conte actually... Oh, yeah, Conte's in Turkey, isn't he?
No.
Or is that Mourinho who's in Turkey?
Conte is at Napoli, isn't he?
Oh, that's it. He's in Italy and one of them's in Turkey. Right, but they're still highly sought after managers. Highly.
Not Jose, Conte maybe.
And if you're going to list like the top managers over the last 15 years, both of them are in the conversation. Both of them. All right, they've never done nothing yet, but that's to do with the chairman rather than anything. So me, as I said on our channel, I think Sunday. Am I allowed to finish or what?
Yeah, go for
it, Mark.
I know, but like, I think Sunday was Ariola's interview, and I think he passed it, because you could only judge by seeing what he was doing on the touchline. He was gesturing at his players. He was getting angry, whereas the fool we got just stands there and does nothing. I mean, personally, I believe that was his, because you can't tell me that even Daniel Levy, that I know he don't care about football, as long as the tills are ringing in that stadium, he don't give a monkeys about football. Right? Even he can't be happy with the way the season's gone, because let's face it, you've only got to put bloody Facebook on or something, and Paddy Power have done another bloody advert about us. The memes I've seen about Tottenham this season, I've never seen nothing like it. Right, I might get the odd one if we get a good hammering in the game. Paddy Power will come out with something, but it's constant. It's every day I see a different one. Every single day I see a different meme about Tottenham. And that's not right. And you can't tell me that Levy don't see all this, or he's certainly got people that research all this, because what I've heard that the club have got scouts that watch YouTube channels. Maybe not to interact with the chat or nothing, but they watch just to see what the general feeling is like between the fans. Certainly the bigger ones, that we are Tottenham TVs and, Tottenham Aways and Sava and all that sort of stuff. I hope he watches ours. I hope Mr. Levy personally watches ours. And Ange.
Of course he is. Mark.
Would you guys want Nuno back?
Hi, Mr. Levy.
What's that, Eugene? A question for Nuno?
Would you guys want Nuno back? Because Nuno this season is more successful than Areola, right? So by that account, if we're just looking at that, Nuno is taking the worst team. We saw how bad he was with us. But now, based on his coaching at Forest, what changed? So would
It's
you
not
want him
going to
back?
happen, Eugene, though, is it?
No,
No.
but
I mean, I
if,
get
just
your
hypothetically
question.
speaking,
It won't happen. It won't
but
happen
if,
because he's been
would
sacked.
you though?
Would
And
I?
we're going back. Go on, Dan.
Look, the Tottenham. I know we hate talking about the Tottenham way, and it's what is the Tottenham way. But Spurs attacking football on the front foot. Nuno doesn't play that style, so I don't think it will work. I mean, but fair play to him. I think he's done fantastic at Nottingham Forest, and he's come to a club where it's working. They're buying the players to make his system work. We've seen what Nuno did with Wolves. He created a good team, a competitive team with Wolves. Coming back to Spurs, I mean, you can't. I probably wouldn't, Eugene. To be honest,
I agree.
I
I
just
would
don't
either,
think
but
it's the
that,
Tottenham way.
but
I don't think it's the Tottenham. I'm not sorry if I keep saying the Tottenham way because the Tottenham way is whatever. Yeah, playing attacking football, taking the game. European nights and at the Lane. The history. When we've won competitions in the past, cup competitions, we've had that kind of style play. Those European nights. That's what we're known for. Not really known for a counter-attacking team. Although I would be happy if we had that style of plan, won something. But look, there's so many problems, man. Like it's a joke. Let's put a question to everybody in the panel. Anybody on the panel have a question that they want to say, and then we can all answer it. And then I just want to finish off with the Fulham, and then we're going to wrap up for the night. Anybody got a burning question to ask anyone?
I haven't really got anything on the top of my mind to think of to ask. I think we talk about everything every night in chat channels, in WhatsApps, everything all the time. So we are always constantly talking and put our faces on a camera.
There's nothing new to say, is there? This is the problem.
Nothing really new to say until something new and exciting comes along. We're just recycling the same rhetoric, aren't we? About players, manager, tactics, injuries. It's the same excuses.
It's boring.
Refreshed, rehashed, reused.
So should we just talk about the Fulham match then, and then wrap it up tonight? Unless anybody else has any other conversation points, because otherwise we're just going around in circles here. We've been on nearly 3 hours. So
is that we got Sunday? Is it Fulham?
Yeah, Fulham Sunday away.
Honestly, I don't even know who we got. Honestly, I'm not even interested.
And after Fulham, it's international break, isn't it?
Yeah. So, Nigel, I think you gave your thing, didn't you, about it? You're not confident, Nigel, are you?
No, our record at Fulham is not the best. We lost 3-0 there last season. I don't know, it's just the way we're playing. I just can't see us winning games at the moment. So, I think we lose at the weekend to Fulham. And then international break and then Chelsea after. So,
and then we always do poorly after an international break. So
and after a European game.
Yeah.
True.
So Fulham, they're 10th in the league. How many points are they above us? What's that? 8 points.
8 points.
8 points. Kind of mid-table team. Kind of tailed off a bit. They were doing really well, weren't they, Fulham? But they kind of flatlined a bit. Eugene, do you know much about Fulham? Do you follow them at all?
A bit. I mean, they're a pretty decent side, but honestly, the result doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. The league is over, the season is done, so it'd be nice to win, but either way, nothing really changes, win or lose. I don't expect a win. Maybe it's going to be a draw, maybe 1-1. But
okay.
Win or lose doesn't matter.
I'm sorry.
Does everybody think?
No. All right, Dan, carry on.
No, go, Mark. Go for it. Sorry.
No, I'm just saying, right? This is how low we've become as a football club.
Yeah.
When we can't even expect to beat Fulham. You know what I mean? This is how dreadful we are. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We've gone back to that whole Man United rhetoric, isn't it? It's only Tottenham. I feel like we've gone back to that.
Fulham, and we're not even expecting to beat Fulham. Now, right, now I can only speak of my experience growing up and that. If you mentioned London clubs, there was 3. Well, no, there was 2. Tottenham and Arsenal. Chelsea want nothing. Chelsea were second division team. You know, like they might have been third division team. You know, they were nothing. There was 2 teams in London. Well, and possibly West Ham were bigger than Chelsea. Yeah, so maybe 3. But Fulham, I never even heard of them. You know what I mean? And now, and you know, we're comparing ourselves to Fulham, a club with what, not even a fraction of our sort of history, capabilities. You know, it's this is where the last since Poch left, my love for this club has gone. Yeah, I support him. You know, I've been cursed all my life. It is a curse.
But at least
Me
you've
and you
seen
was talking
some
about this, weren't we,
wins,
Nigel?
Mark, you've
It's a
seen
curse.
some cups, more cups than me. You have seen us win
Yeah,
in
well,
Europe, right?
do you know, me and Nigel was talking about this Saturday when we was having a beer. Right? Now, me and Nigel we're sort of similar age. We were lucky. When I was 10-year-old, we won the FA Cup. And at 11-year-old, we won another FA Cup. At 13-year-old, we won the UEFA Cup.
Yeah.
At 20, we won the FA Cup again. That's 4 trophies in 10 years. And we lost in a final, 2 finals, because we lost in 87 to Coventry, and we lost to Liverpool in the Milk Cup final, which is now the Carabao, whatever they call it. And we were in 3 Charity Shields. You know, that we didn't lose one of them either. You know, so, you know, and it's since 91, when we haven't won the FA Cup, it's been, if someone had told me and Nigel was having this discussion, if someone had told me in 91, I was 20-year-old, someone had told me you're going to be in your mid-50s and you won't see us win the FA Cup again, I wouldn't have believed you if you'd have said we ain't going to win the FA Cup before the year 2000, let alone 2025. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is how the standards of the club have slipped since Enoch have been here. Right, not all of that was under Enoch, but the vast majority of it is. You know, I grew up with us winning trophies. You know, and it's gone. My love for this club since Poch left, certainly since Poch left, is gone. It's gone. I go now and again now. I used to be there nearly every week. As much as I could, I was there. Not anymore. Not anymore. I'm going on the 6th. I got no intention of going in that ground. No intention. No intention whatsoever. So someone could offer me a ticket and I still wouldn't take it off you.
Oh,
Yeah.
so anybody got anything to say against Fulham? And then we're going to wrap it up because I'm done.
Our track record with Fulham hasn't been great over the last few years, has it? I mean, we got knocked out of the FA Cup when Ange decided to change, 9 players?
Carabao.
Oh, it was the Carabao. Well, you know, 9 players in one match. Again, not understanding how football works. Then we lose 3-0, and then it's just over the years, it's kind of one of those grounds like Chelsea where we'll either turn up, play well, lose, or just turn up and not do anything. And especially the last 3-4 years, and especially the last 18 months under this manager, I'm not excited to turn my TV on to watch Spurs. I kid you not, Sunday I was watching the match and I fell asleep before halftime in front of my PC screen like this, waiting for something to happen. And I never used to be like that as a kid. I'd be excited to watch Spurs all the time. I was having a word with my granddad, he's in hospital at the minute, about like how Tottenham are doing at the moment, and he's even disillusioned as a Spurs fan. He's been a Spurs fan, what, 73 years?
Well, it's hard not to, Corey, is it? This season has been atrocious, man. And the end of last season wasn't good either. So, guys, yeah, final thoughts of the night. Over to Nige. What's your final thoughts? And then we're going to close up.
My final thoughts are, in the whole 45 years I've supported Spurs, I've never felt so disillusioned with the club, and I've never felt like I actually don't care if we lose a cup game or not. Saying that, hopefully we go through, just because it gives us an extra couple of months of something to get excited about, possibly. But yeah, just totally broken with the club at the moment.
Fair enough, Nige. Eugene, final thoughts from you?
Yeah, same. If we lose on Thursday, I'm not even sure if I'll be watching every single game. I might just be watching highlights or just watching on replay. I'm not waking up at 5 in the morning anymore or 4 in the morning to watch this
No way,
game.
mate.
So, and I was actually ashamed to admit it when I was talking to Deji last week. I'm like, you know what? I'm not even sure if I want to see us win, which was, as a fan, I never want to say that. But I'm like, but I know even if we do, we're gonna go out. So I don't want to be a bad fan. I always want, us to win. But that extra anxiety and extra stress that I'm gonna be, I'm gonna go through in the next few weeks. I'm not sure if I need this in my life right now. So I still hope we do win, but my expectations are super low. I don't expect us to beat AZ or Fulham. And yeah, it is what it is. Unfortunately, this, even as a positive fan, this is where I am at the moment. So
Honestly,
And-
I don't care. I don't care anymore.
Don't care.
And that's
Yep.
something I never thought I'd say.
Let's get that, man. Totally get it. You don't care. I said that last week, Mark. After that AZ game, I don't care anymore. But look, it's been quite an exhausting stream in the end, because after you go through it all, man, it's just there's really little to be positive about. There's nothing, actually. Now, guys, thank you. Thanks, Corey. Thanks,
Sorry.
Mark. Thanks, Eugene, for jumping on late onto the show. Big up to Deji as well, and Ben for joining us early at the beginning. Big up to everybody in the chat who's watched tonight. Thank you so much for your comments. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to Nige. Please subscribe to Mark as well. Mark, we need to get your link in the chat. Is it in there?
Oh, no, I will do it.
Throw it in the
You
chat,
mean-
mate.
You know what's hard for me though, really? As a kid growing up, every year I'd have the newest kit, looking in the mirror, being proud to wear that shirt. I've not bought a Tottenham kit since Joel was sacked, and it's been hard not to want to buy that kit, but I just feel so lost in the wilderness with this club. I grew up and I've seen us win an FA Cup and 2 League Cups, and it's just hard. It really is.
It is, mate. It is. You're right. It is. I'm similar age to you, and that's it. All I can remember is FA Cup '91. The is it the Littlewoods Cup or no? When we won it under George Graham, was it called the Littlewoods Cup?
No, I was there. How was it called? Worthington.
Cup. Yeah, the
Yeah.
Worthington Cup.
I was there.
Yeah.
I was there that day.
And
I was at the one for Chelsea when Woodgate scored. So
that was a Carling Cup.
Yeah.
And literally that's it. And we won the Audi Cup. Remember?
woohoo! A fake cup. At least Harry got to lift something with Spurs.
That's embarrassing, man. Embarrassing. Guys, big up to everyone watching and watched and got involved tonight. Big up to everybody who's joined. And look, Thursday will come around in a couple of days, mate. I tell you what, if we lose that game, can you imagine? Oh my days. We'll have to watch that fallout happen. Anyway, guys, good night to you all. Take care of yourselves. And come on, you Spurs, and Levy out.
Always.
Good night.
Good night.